Part 59. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 583. A land of nothingness. In the vast universe, there is no sky or earth, as if there is nothing. For almost all living beings, the universe is awe-inspiring and fascinating. And a race that can conquer this vast starry sky in a certain sense is considered a highly intelligent race. However, there are superior and inferior intelligent races, and not every race can continue well. The more intelligent the race, the more terrifying the war. And a kind of existence that is closely related to war, the strong man, is a major derivative existence that will emerge in the later stages of highly intelligent races. A powerful man can easily influence a war or even the fate of a race. The Tianlong clan is a race where the strongest are outnumbered. In the universe, a group of Tianlong clan battleships seem to appear and disappear, waiting quietly in the sky. They didn't know how long they had been waiting. Finally, a slowly moving spacecraft arrived in this uninhabited area of the universe. The size of this spaceship is not large, and its appearance does not look like a combat spacecraft. The flames sprayed from the stern of the ship were stable and filled with a mysterious sense of propulsion, and seemed to be extremely hot. And when it came to this area, the group of warships finally moved. Flames spurted out one after another, and the engine flames burst into flames. It was as if several small stars suddenly lit up in the dark night sky. Among these battleships, the flagship was a huge one-man battleship that seemed to be more than 500 meters in size. In the battleship, the deputy congratulated the tall, flaming red monster that launched the battleship. "Congratulations, sir, I finally caught this Jiayan. With so many of our battleships surrounding him, he will definitely not be able to escape." "Humph, does this outsider think that the son of Xin Chen who killed me can escape? It's simply ridiculous. If his combat power is not weak and he cannot display it in the universe, he will die no matter what." The conversation in the battleship was cruel and full of hatred. The being who spoke must have extremely hated the person in the one-man spaceship in front of him. That's right, because the pilot of this spaceship is the one who is extremely resentful towards the pilot of the spacecraft in front of him. Facing the sudden appearance of these battleships, the spaceships that were faintly surrounded in front did not show any fear, but at this moment, they inexplicably stopped. "Lord Xin Chen, the other party is requesting communication," the monster who was the deputy in the flagship suddenly said to the pilot in surprise. "Oh? Put it through and see what he wanted to say before he died." The behemoth driving the car seemed a little strange about the communication. "Communication is connected." In front of the driver's seat, a floating light screen about 20 meters in size appeared. "Hello, Lord Xin Chen. Long time no see." Before the screen on the other side appeared, a voice came. After that, a terrifying existence that showed no mercy compared to the fiery red monster here appeared on the screen. Jiayan, the huge fiery red monster, could hardly conceal its murderous intent when it saw the monster's face. "Lord Xin Chen, you don't know that I am walking in the universe. Why do you want to intercept me? You know, I am one of the participants in the collection quota. If you are unfavorable to me, the collection conference committee will not let you go," the monster said calmly. "One of the participants? Haha. Do you think you, an outsider, are qualified to participate? I am not afraid of the gathering committee. For me, the revenge of killing my son is the most important. You are prepared to die?" the fiery red monster said viciously. "I'm sorry, Master Xin Chen, although Master Jiayan is not one of the protection lists, our angel camp is among them. Do you want to take action against us?" Suddenly, streaks of brilliance shot out from a distance. These brilliants were as fast as lightning. Even each of them was a battleship, directly including Lord Xingchen's small battleship group in front of them within the attack range. The fire resistance systems were turned on one by one, causing the small battleship group on the opposite side to all sound alarms. "Angel Camp, How dare you interfere with the affairs between me and Jia Yan? The fiery red monster's widened eyes were so angry that 5 Buddhas came out of their bodies and 4 Buddhas ascended to heaven. Why don't we dare to take care of it? Before Jia Yan's foreign aid contract with us was terminated, he was a member of our angel camp. If you Xin Chen attacked him, we naturally have the obligation to fight back against you. How about it, Xin Chen, will you fight or not? Beat. Sir, they are all starry sky level. Although the number of battleships is smaller than ours, our pilots are all sky level. If we really fight, we will definitely lose. In the battleship on Master Xingchen's side, the deputy made a somewhat frightened analysis sound to Xin Chen. He was afraid. As a starry sky level being, Xin Chen is also an extremely powerful member of the celestial dragon race. He faces any battle without the slightest fear. But at this moment, it is too obvious that the enemy is strong and we are weak. At this moment, I heard the voice of this deputy, suddenly launched a power attack in annoyance. Boom! The deputy's hand hit the wall directly and slid down slowly. He was instantly confused about life and death. Angel Camp, remember this. And Jia Yan, the hatred of killing your son is irreconcilable. No matter where you go, I will definitely find you and kill you. Just wait for me. After that, the shape of the entire battle fleet changed. While guarding against several powerful battleships behind, it retreated towards the depths of the starry sky. But here, in the spaceship ahead, Jia Yan's body suddenly relaxed a little. He nodded gratefully to the several avatars on the communication screen. Everyone from the Angel Camp, thank you. It would be dangerous for me if I encountered Xingchen's team chasing me this time. But is it really okay for you to directly confront him like this? You must know that among their powerful heavenly dragons, there is one who is one of the top 10 strong men. In the communication screen, the four-eyed monster looked overjoyed. Jia Yan, I just got the news that a top being in our angel camp headquarters has successfully advanced to the level of the top 10 strong men. Presumably, the strong Tianlong will not easily start a war with our angel camp. On the other hand, are you really unwilling to join our angel camp in the future? You know, once we terminate the peace treaty, there will be no reason to help you. The title of their Tianlong fighting race is not for nothing. They are not only powerful in battle, but also and when they stare at their prey and refuse to let go, this is the real reason why the Tianlong race is called a fighting race. Jia Yan also felt slightly warm in his heart regarding the kindness of the angel camp beings. Still he shook his head. Thank you very much for your kindness. I am also about to leave this starry sky. For the Tianlong people, all they have to do is avoid their pursuit in the future, and the collection will start in 2 days. Will they? Do you still dare to pursue them to the collection point? That would be unjustifiable even for the strongest of the Tianlong clan, right? Hearing what Jia Yan said, everyone in the angel camp not far away immediately understood that Jia Yan was really determined and could not stay in this star field, and they all felt extremely regretful. Especially the scaly monster, looking at Jia Yan in the communication screen, asked anxiously, then you really haven't been with us for the past 2 days? We went to the collection point together. It was basically a drop-in. Even this can't do it? The rest of the angel camp is also a little uncomfortable. After all, Jia Yan is not even willing to spend this time together. How does that mean he looks down on their angel camp? Sorry, I still have some things to do, so you guys go over there first. Hopefully we can meet again at the gathering point. Jia Yan smiled helplessly in the spaceship here. After the communication was completed, several warships, large and small, turned on their power, and then slowly disappeared within the range of the spacecraft. Alas, on the Anglebi, Jia Yan looked at the warships that seemed to carry the depressed mood of several friends, and all he could say was helplessly shaking his head and smiling bitterly. In the spaceship here, he actually had a way to avoid the previous stars, but he really didn't expect that the people of the Angel camp, who had only a cooperative relationship, would directly conflict with the strong men of the Tianlong people for him. At this moment, Big Mosquito really felt like friends towards the beings in the Angel camp, if not for the fact that he had other destinations in his heart. Jia Yan might stay in this starry sky and spend some time with these friends. Saying that something happened was just a shirk. He would then take a detour and go to the collection point as well. After all, the Angel camp had already had some conflicts with the extremely powerful Tianlong clan because of him, and Jia Yan did not want the conflict between the two parties to deepen. After he leaves, this confrontation can be easily eliminated. After thinking about this, Big Mosquito looked through the detection system, and after confirming that there were no other enemies peeping around, he directly activated the Angliba and shot away into the deep universe. Compared to a planet, space is really huge. In this vast area, it is extremely difficult to search for an inconspicuous spaceship. Xin Chen, the strong man of Tianlong, did not give up on arresting Jia Yan, but for him, this kind of arrest was almost useless. As a participant of the gathering conference, he also had a few opportunities to enter the collection point, but now however, he gave up directly. Instead, he worked tirelessly on catching Jia Yan in the outside world, and seemed to not give up until he was caught. Lord Jia Yan, there is no Tianlong fleet on the road ahead. A communication call sounded, echoing continuously in the spacecraft. Really? Thank you. After being thanked, the other party seemed very happy to close the communication. Jia Yan was feeling a little emotional in the battleship. It turned out that the person who told him about exploring the way was the boss of an interstellar company. As the boss, this being had his own battleship, and he took the initiative to contact Jia Yan when he met him before. After hearing about Jia Yan, he even suggested exploring the road ahead. And this is not the first ordinary citizen to do this. This is the third one I have met today. Some people even knew through the interstellar network that Jia Yan was being hunted by the powerful Tianlong, and spontaneously came to help him explore road. The reason why they did this is very simple, because of Jia Yan's performance in this gathering conference. You must know that Jia Yan is a big dark horse who has gained fame as a conference member and is loved by many people. Moreover, he has no power or status behind him and seems to be very close to the people. Therefore, these people's love for Jia Yan is really from inner heart. Because he, a star-level powerhouse, seems to be closer to ordinary creatures. I could still think of the people before as Xingqian's spies. Now so many people have told me so what if I believe them just once? Even if I really meet Xingqian's team, I can still activate the space jump. I'm sure none of these guys would have thought that a spaceship like mine can perform space jumps, right? Jia Yan tried to fly forward. However, Jia Yan was prepared to escape at any time, but he really did not encounter Xingqian's fleet. In space, a spaceship flew away quickly. This is already the most prosperous place in the entire deserted galaxy, with many warships and aircraft coming and going around it. Even several aircraft similar to this one appeared, and even those who were familiar with them could not distinguish their appearance. The spacecraft went around in circles and almost collided with several aircraft as it passed by. This also shows that the operating skills of the spacecraft pilot are indeed worrying, but this time only lasted for a short period of time. When the spacecraft next to him started to curse, his flight was like a different person. Gotta be a little bit more normal. The pilot in the spacecraft is none other than Jia Yan. It's so dangerous. God knows how the spaceship traffic here can be so heavy. My driving skills can't handle it at all. In the spaceship, Jia Yan felt sweaty due to the several near impacts during the flight. Fortunately, he quickly switched to the automatic operating system. In other aspects of this spacecraft, the automatic operation was still very strong, and he could barely avoid the possible dangers around him. Why can't I improve my driving skills well? It seems that people are always strong and can never become strong. Alas, Jia Yan finally gave up on treatment for his driving skills. In fact, his progress is already very fast. For pilots in this starry sky, training usually takes a long time, and those pilots are also strong. Jia Yan can adapt to the operation so quickly. It can be said to be extremely terrifying. The place is completely safe for large mosquitoes. This is a dense area. No matter how bold Mr. Xin Chen is, he wouldn't dare to attack me here, right? Jia Yan looked behind him and did not see any Tianlong warships. With the help of the people who loved to watch him fight, he actually came out of the siege and arrived at the most lively starry sky port in the deserted galaxy, and also an important starry sky port for future entry and collection points, the deserted port. For Jia Yan, this port is a port that is unlikely to be attacked again. It has complete defenses and layers of forts. Even a starfly cannot pass through. Of course, it was impossible for the dragon man Xin Chen to attack here that day, and he would not think that he would live long. Therefore, it can be said that Jia Yan is basically safe when he comes here. For him, this place is also the final destination of this trip. As long as this gathering conference is over, he can use the space jump ability of the spacecraft to leave this area directly. In the center of the galaxy, he and the Kudatan family left the deserted galaxy. Well, the spaceship is the top priority of this trip. My stopping points and restrictions must be made as simple as possible. Otherwise, if problems arise and the spacecraft is restricted, my escape plan will be ruined. Jia Yan prepared for the worst. If he encountered an accident at the collection point and had to escape, then the spaceship was his most important way to escape. There must be no accidents on the Anglibaeus. Fortunately, he knew that there were usually some powerful men or personal docking points in the docking ports of these spaceships. They were all powerful beings, and the defenses and facilities in their personal docking points were generally not as good. The beings being dominated quickly grasped it. That way, Jia Yan would have time to escape. Is this Mr. Jia Yan? I am from Galaxy Communications Company. Mr. Jia Yan, I admire your combat effectiveness. I wonder if Mr. Jia Yan is free to come to our company as a guest? Everyone in our company is absolutely respectful of you. Sweep and greet each other. Suddenly, a communication sound was transmitted to Jia Yan's communication band. And there were many more requests for the same communication, which made Jia Yan a little shocked for a moment. He knew that he was being pursued by Lord Xin Chen. Most companies in this starry sky should be afraid to avoid him. Why were so many companies inviting him? After thinking about it for a while, Jia Yan understood. A few days ago, the beings of the Angel Camp had not announced that a strong man from their Angel Camp had been promoted to the starry sky peak power level. Now some companies must have known about the news, and Jia Yan was a bit elusive with the Angel Camp. The existence of unclear relationships is regarded by them as a possible bridge of communication. Since this is like this, I must make good use of it if I. They came to the door themselves. Thinking of this, there was some light in Jin's eyes. I can accept your invitation, but there is no place for my spaceship to dock at the public docking point. I wonder if your company has a convenient docking point. Jia Yan tried to send such a message, and received a reply very quickly. Dear Lord Jia Yan, our company's stops are guaranteed to satisfy you. Jia Yan suddenly smiled when he saw this, but he did not agree. Instead, he sent a similar message to almost all companies whose names he heard, or companies or enterprises that seemed to have a stop. There are actually so many companies with private docking stations. But that's right, most of the companies here are backed by powerful people. If you want to get a share of the cake here, you must have your own cargo docking station. It seems that there's nothing wrong with the way. A new volume, a new journey begins again. Thank you all for subscribing. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito author, Buletin U. Chapter 584. Then what I want to do next is to screen these docking points and pick out the worst ones, the ones with the worst defense capabilities, and the ones that are convenient for leaving the port. After thinking about this, Jia Yanfu's eyes sparkled with a sense of wisdom. Lord Jia Yan, are you satisfied with our port? Very good, I'm very satisfied. I'll choose your place to dock, but as you know, I have some disputes with Tianlong Powerhouse Xing Chen. I hope your port will not be closed so that I can leave the port at any time, okay? Okay, don't worry, our company fully supports you in your matter with Tianlong Powerhouse Xing Chen. Although we can't refute them, we can still do this little thing. In less than half a day, Jia Yan found a suitable stopping point. This company was not too big, but it belonged to a large company in the Northern Star Territory, so in terms of scale and strength, although for the company here, it's nothing, but he has the courage to fight against a powerful heavenly dragon. I also ask Mr. Jia Yan to make arrangements on your behalf and introduce the adults from Angel Camp to our company. Thank you very much. It's easy to say, I will introduce it to you after the gathering conference is officially over. After a few casual exchanges with the other party, Jia Yan politely declined the other party's dinner invitation on the grounds that he was preparing to collect food. Seeing the so-called cross-star company leader leave angrily, Jia Yan apologized to him apologetically. Because of this incident, he will definitely make a big fuss, and this company may be implicated. Then we will see whether they really have as much energy as the leader said. Jia Yan returned to the temporary docking point in the starry sky and drove his spaceship to the company's port. He will choose the port of this company, which can be considered to have been selected by several companies. Several other companies have relatively complete security forces, and there are 2 companies, and even the security system is combined with the city, so for Jia Yan, it is not easy to escape. This company's port is in disrepair and is very close to space. As long as Jia Yan slightly destroys some isolation zones, he can break through to space. Very good. I just feel a little sorry for this company, so I can only say sorry. Jia Yan felt a little sorry for the company that was so happy that he thought it was riding on the Angel Camp bus. After solving the docking problem of the spacecraft, Jia Yan got off the spacecraft in this deserted port. To say it is a port, it is actually more accurate to say that this port is a small artificial planet. The original idea was to build a temporary point here where all forces can settle, but gradually, it became the business center of the entire desolate galaxy. And extremely prosperous. It is said that this port planet was initially composed entirely of interstellar meteorites brought from outer space. Then it gradually evolved into what it is now. Jia Yan was walking on the street and felt very surprised. If he had not known for a long time that this half-planet existed and was an artificial creation, he would never have believed that the Earth he stepped on turned out to be just small stars in the sky. Interstellar matter. Jia Yan was extremely impressed by the wisdom and anger here. After all, this kind of thing that changes the world sounds like science fiction to people on Earth, but the creatures here can do it. Of course, it is said that their gathering here is just a simple combination. Every big company wants to gain territory and form its own area. This approach is very harmful to the residents of this starry sky, because in other stars in the domain, the construction of semi-artificial planets is completely more advanced. And there are also some Death Stars for combat. Jia Yan thought about the information he had seen, and was really surprised by this vast star field. Originally, he thought that the interstellar civilization over the immortal arm was extremely advanced, but compared to the creatures here, it seemed the two are the difference between heaven and earth. This galaxy is even called a barren galaxy. I really can't imagine what those advanced galaxies will be like. Jia Yan was also extremely surprised by the name here. After all, what he saw here was only advanced and civilization, but everyone says this is a deserted land. Sir, come and take a look. It can promote powerful nutrient solution. This is the only one, and there is no other. Come and take a look. The Starry Sky level potion will definitely evolve to the next level. We are the only ones selling it in the world. A vendor was shouting loudly. Jia Yan looked at the vendors with some surprise. They intuitively told him that these things were completely fake, but these vendors actually dared to directly shout out the exaggerated effects, and even deceived the Starry Sky level powerhouse. Aren't they afraid of losing it? Life. But seeing the patrol cars going around, Jia Yan was thoughtful. On this artificial port planet, it seems that the only thing that can be seen as uncivilized is that there are liars everywhere. Along the way, Jia Yan saw many similar fraudulent stalls. However, they don't sell them very expensively, and most of the buyers are Earth level or Heaven level experts with average strength. For these experts, similar items really have some effects. Jia Yan's purpose was not to watch the prosperity of this port planet, but to observe the situation here and formulate a future escape route. The key point in the observation is the collection point. Jia Yan's stopping city is actually on the outskirts of the area where the collection point is located. This is normal. After all, if you come here to participate in collection, you can't stop on the other side of this artificial planet, right? Not far away, there was a huge building in front of us. The size of this building is as huge as the sky. It takes up about half of the entire city. You can see it from a distance, and what's even more terrifying is that it leads straight to the sky, and you can faintly see the top of it piercing the clouds directly and entering space. This is the significance of the original construction of this artificial planet, and it is also the location of the most precious thing on this planet until now, the entrance to the Chaos Stone collection point. If you look at it from space, you can see that the population of this collection point on this planet is like a bridge leading to another place that looks like a planet not far from this planet. It was vaguely the size of the moon, but the entire surface was covered with metal. There were countless defensive weapons on it, and there were countless fleets patrolling there. And this planet is where the Chaos Stone is, and not all the planets have Chaos Stones. If there were such a huge amount of Chaos Stones, then the star field might not be what it is now, but even the huge empires around it would come to snatch the Chaos Stones. But even if the quantity is small, the Chaos Stone minerals here are enough to impress all the Starry Sky level experts. For ordinary people, if they want to enter the Chaos Stone mineral area, they can only enter the Chaos Stone mineral area through the entrance of the collection point, which is the huge building in front of Jia Yan. Is this the entrance? Jia Yan looked at the entrance in front of him, with a sparkle in his eyes. He knows that this place is where he will live and die in the future. If he cannot fight here, his mutation plan will be hindered, and even affect his future progress. But I also have to look at the situation. For me, if the defense here is too strong and there is no gap at all, then I will not take action at that time, because life saving is the most important thing. Jia Yan looked at the building far away. Because of its importance, the building at the entrance is directly separated from the street next to it by a distance of 500 to 600 meters. Looking from a distance, the huge passage building looks like a terrifying dragon coiling in front of everyone, which makes people feel extremely pressured. There are many tourists here, because the place this building leads to is the real reason for the development of this galaxy, and for the residents of this starry sky, the meaning here is different. Some creatures have lived in desolate galaxies for generations, and this collection point has always been an important place like a mountain, so they want to come here for sightseeing. Although Jia Yan is huge, there is nothing surprising among the tourists. Moreover, there are also some strong people here who will enter the collection point tomorrow. There is no way that he will be suspected of anything here. The only bad thing is that his image is transmitted too far, and some people often recognize him, causing a bunch of creatures to surround him and ask for autographs and so on. Jia Yan, we meet again. But Jin finally got rid of a bunch of creatures and found a remote place. When he wanted to take a closer look at the huge collection point in front of him, another sound reached his ears, making him feel a little uncomfortable. The person who came was a seemingly huge stone giant monster. "Well, it's you," Jia Yan looked at the other party in surprise. "It's me. Why, you just defeated me not long ago." "Did you forget about me?" the stone giant said with a cheerful smile. Jia Yan remembered the other party, a relatively powerful opponent he had defeated before, but seeing him here now, could it be that the other party had a grudge after losing and wanted to fight against his opponent here? Jia Yan looked around unmoved. He didn't see any other Starry Sky class, so he had nothing to be afraid of. As for his own strength, he knew that it was not as simple as he had shown in the competition before. If the other party thought that if he can deal with him by himself, Jia Yan will make him pay the price. "I haven't forgotten you. I didn't know you were looking for me." "Is there anything wrong?" Jia Yan said calmly. "No, I just came here to play. I didn't expect to see you, an opponent that makes me ashamed, so I came here to say hello," the stone giant said with a buzzing voice. "Oh, you're here for fun. If there's nothing else to do, I'll take my leave first." Jia Yan was a little depressed and wanted to leave. The good place he finally found was about to leave again. "Don't worry, Jia Yan, I have never believed in your strength, so I wanted to find you to see if you are really that strong, or are you just strong in the game and have no actual combat power at all?" "So powerful." The stone giant dodged and came to Jia Yan, blocking him directly at the intersection. This is the gap between two buildings, and there are not many pedestrians outside. After all, this place is considered a semi-restricted area, and there are no residents except those tourists. So even if there is some fighting here, it is not easy to be discovered. Of course, the impact of a Starry Sky level battle is too great. If Jia Yan fights with the opponent, it is not surprising that the entire neighborhood will be destroyed. Jia Yan didn't want to do anything, but the other party looked stupid and clumsy, so he probably wouldn't let him go. "You two, if you want to fight, go to the fighting arena or leave this planet, otherwise don't blame us for arresting you both." Suddenly, a voice appeared above the two of them. The stone giant was startled and looked up with Jia Yan. Above them is a 200-meter class battleship, and it is not an ordinary battleship. It looks like a customized model, and it has an extremely terrifying aura of destruction. There must be a Starry Sky level powerhouse among it. It's not that Jia Yan and the two can't defeat this battleship, but as long as they dare to take action, there will be an endless stream of battleships to come, and there will even be strong men who are 2 levels higher than Jia Yan. Until they are completely killed. "Sir, we don't want to do anything, it's just a joke among friends," Jia Yanfu said directly with a gleam in his eyes. The existence in the battleship may not be as strong as his energy level, but at this moment, he doesn't mind calling the other person sir, so as to reduce the possibility of being paid special attention to by the other party. "Humph, I guess you don't dare to mess around here. You know, we have 3 top 10 strong men here for a long time. Get out. Stay far away from here." The battleship sent out a series of fluctuations. After that, he ignored Jia Yan and the stone giant and flew away directly. It seemed that after knowing such a threat, these two guys absolutely did not dare to continue causing trouble. Sure enough, Jia Yan and the stone giant did not take action again. "You're lucky. If I hadn't met you here, I would have beaten you somewhere else," the stone giant grunted angrily and headed towards the outside world. "Wait a minute, since we can't fight anymore, we can be friends. Come, let's talk together. If we want to fight, it's a big deal. We can fight next time we meet." Jia Yan stepped forward and came to his side as if he had no grudge against the stone giant. Let out a hearty laugh. Do you have such a personality? You feel even more angry than me." The stone giant became a little stunned. "Haha, I am really embarrassed. They are all laughing at me. Come on, let's go for a walk." Jia Yan laughed. Not long after that, the two walked for a while together. Although the stone giant was still full of hostility towards Jia Yan, he slowly let go under Jia Yan's enthusiasm. To put it bluntly, the two only had some disputes in the ring, and it was just an ordinary ring battle. There is no grudge at all. Oh, so you know that the defenses here are very tight. An hour later, Jia Yan went to another more secluded place on the roadside. Looking at the tall buildings in the distance, he asked, pretending to be surprised. Of course I know. I already knew that there would be strong defense ships coming to stop our battle. Haha, I just wanted to scare you. The stone giant laughed heartily. Oh, I don't mind at all. So do you know what precautions will be taken at the collection point? I'm going in tomorrow, so I'm a little nervous, Jia Yan continued to ask. You've asked the right person. I happened to go in last time. In this collection point, there are usually 3 extremely powerful experts. 3 of the top 10 experts take turns, and this time the 3 experts, as far as I know, he is the strongest among the heavenly dragons and the 4th among the top 10, Master Xingguo, and the 7th ranked Master Yuking of the Shuadai clan. And the 9th ranked Master Palin. I don't know much about the strength of these adults, but I have personally seen the top 10 powerful adults take action. Having said this, the stone giant showed a frightened expression. It was really shocking at the time. I was almost scared to death, he said with some fear. Jia Yan didn't know how terrifying he was describing, but to be able to scare even the strong men he had fought against, the strength of the top 10 strong men definitely reached an earth-shattering level. He couldn't help but for tomorrow's actions. Calm became a little worried. Not only these 3 strong men, but also several other high-level Starry Sky-level strongmen, all of whom are extremely powerful. They usually sit here for several years. At least Xiao Xiao in this Starry Sky does not dare to make any plans here. By the way, the collection channels are also full of dangers, and some traps are so powerful that they can even threaten the existence of the top 10 powerhouses. It's so scary. Jia Yan reacted to the stone giant's words with some surprise. However, he had already prepared for tomorrow's action, and even participated in the so-called gathering competition. If he retreated here, the efforts of the women in front would be in vain. =*fu #ban fu hung. After chatting hastily with the stone giant, the two separated. For them, it is not easy for strong men of this level to actually fight. After all, the Starry Sky level is too destructive. The stone giant took the initiative to talk to Jia Yan, not necessarily because he wanted to find trouble, but for Jia Yan, do you want to resolve the grudges? Okay, let's go back to the spaceship tonight and make good preparations. For me, tomorrow's events are all in my own hands. If it's really impossible to do, then there's nothing wrong with giving up. Jia Yan walked towards the company port where the spaceship was located. Thinking this, his communicator in the starfield rang. Jia Yan, our leader would like to ask you, will you enter with us tomorrow, or will we give you a pass and you will enter by yourself? There was a scale monster on the other side of the communicator. This being looked at Jia Yan on the other side of the communicator. With a hint of expectation. Just give me the pass. I'll go in by myself, Jia Yan said directly without any thought. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 585. Okay, I will send the entry pass program to your communicator later. Hearing Jia Yan's words, the scale monster shook his head sadly. She had already understood Jia Yan's intention of rejecting others thousands of miles away. It seemed that he was a Starry Sky level powerhouse and could not continue to pester him. After casually chatting for a few more words, both parties closed the communication tacitly. Perhaps this communication is our last communication? It is said that there are unique rules in the collection point. Beings are not coming from the same batch, so it is not easy to encounter. I hope that tomorrow will not drag down the existences of the angel camp. Jia Yan is more concerned about the people in the angel camp. There is no unpleasantness in the cooperation between the two parties, and they have also contributed a lot to Jia Yan's current combat power, so Jia Yan is considered friendly to them at the moment. Tomorrow is destined to be a magnificent battle moment, and Jia Yan naturally does not want to affect them. After passing through the bustling place with bustling traffic and returning to the port where the spaceship was located, Jia Yan smiled a little when he saw the Angelibi standing there as quiet as a virgin. For him, regardless of whether he can obtain evolutionary energy from the collection point tomorrow, the Angelibi will be his life-saving straw. Because his mutation did not happen overnight, he had just swallowed the Chaos Stone, and it was impossible for him to gain much energy in one go. Therefore, leaving on the Angelibi by then would be his only means of escaping from this place in his near-death life. Jia Yan was very open-minded, gently opened the side of the Angelibi and entered it. At this moment, the colorful street sceneries outside and the crowded scene have become a thing of the past for Jia Yan. He will restrain himself and focus on the final mental health for tomorrow's adventure. There are some creatures from the outside world who are interested in Jia Yan, the big mosquito. They have known the location of his spaceship for a long time, and they are pointing here. It can be said that there are a lot of people watching, and most of them have lingered here for a long time. Isn't this the disadvantage of being famous? There is no freedom, but we must ask the company's top management to isolate this place later, otherwise there will be obstacles tomorrow. Jia Yan looked at the spectators outside the spacecraft cabin. A little helpless. A day can be said to be fast or not, but it is not too slow to say that it is slow. For Jia Yan, who is preparing for the battle with all his heart, it almost flies by in an instant. In the early morning, the big mosquito wakes up from its sleepy sleep. Moving his body, he felt that his condition had never been so good. Okay, no matter what happens next, it will be a blessing or a disaster, I can't back down, no matter what. It just depends on today. The giant mosquito's calm body seems to possess the terrifying power of a savage beast at this moment. For him, what he does today will determine his strength in the future and even affect his destiny. If it is done well, he will continue to struggle in the early days of Starry Sky. He doesn't know when he will encounter such a situation again in the future. Of course, he may be more likely to encounter a terrible crisis in that dangerous collection point. After all, there are 10 unparalleled powerful men sitting there. Even now, Jia Yan doesn't know how to get rid of their pursuit. He said it would be a matter of taking one step at a time. I don't know how powerful they are among the top 10 powerhouses. Can my deep blue defense, which is my greatest strength and my greatest reliance now, be able to defend against them? Jia Yan said about the strongest men in the desolate galaxy that he will face in the future. We are still a little unsure in our hearts. Okay, there's no point in thinking about it. Let's just go to the collection point and take a look. If it really can't be done, I just won't do anything, Jia Yan thought helplessly. He opened the hatch of the Angelibi and looked around. The onlookers had already dispersed. Not far away, a team of guards belonging to that company saluted Jia Yan from a distance. Jia Yan nodded to them lightly. This company is still concerned about his affairs, but after today, they don't know whether this caring will be a blessing or a curse for them. He got off the Angelibi directly, then looked at the vast city, and then blew out a long breath from the exhaust hole. The big mosquito made up his mind and stepped forward. At this time, Jia Yan has no idea what the outcome will be in the future, but he has lived a new life for so long. For him, everything is his own struggle, fighting for life and death again and again, and making breakthroughs in life and death battles again and again. For him, there is nothing to be afraid of. Slowly walking towards the city, Jia Yan looked a little solemn, focusing on the super passage that held the sky one pillar at a time. In the distance, It seemed that the huge monster covering the sky seemed to be laughing at his small existence for daring to attack him. Haha. Evolved beasts are inherently defiant. I am helpless in this starry sky. In order to go further and return to the earth, I am willing to do anything and take any risks. Not only the dangers in front of me, even if facing a true star-level existence in the future is also a hurdle that I am destined to overcome. Jia Yan looked at the distant collection point passage. The concentration in his eyes was extremely intense. The gate of the collection point not far away was slowly approaching. To the big mosquito, he was like a ferocious beast that wanted to swallow him whole. However, he still walked there firmly. Stop and show your pass. Suddenly, a voice stopped the big mosquito that continued to move forward. And the voice was cold, as if Jia Yan was about to attack if he couldn't produce the so-called pass. Jia Yan was startled, then looked at the ground. It turned out that a vehicle appeared there at some point, and it was a chariot. However, the chariot was not big, it could even be said to be very small. The entire vehicle was only about 1 meter tall, and the creature inside was only 50 or 60 centimeters in size. It seems that under Jia Yan's feet, they seemed to be from Lilliput, almost stepping on them. However, the little people in this car are not afraid of the giant Jia Yan. For them, it seems that they are used to the existence of big mosquitoes, but they have a vague feeling of looking down on these ordinary starry sky level people. Huh? There is actually a starry sky level among this villain. He is so small but can reach the starry sky level. If anything can happen in this universe, Jia Yan was startled at the moment. However, when he saw the pattern on the car body that represented the official power of the collection point port, he immediately realized that the car inside was actually an official power, and it looked like it was an army vehicle. Although it was strange, he still took out his communicator and opened a program to emit a strange wavelength. The beeping sound came from the car, just like a toy car, very strange. Not long after, a voice came from the car. Okay, you can go over. The voice in the car was like a child's voice. Jia Yan sounded very childish. However, they were all from the army and could not be offended. After Jia Yan looked at the ground, he stepped directly over the car. Humph, what an unreasonable guy. After every conference, there are always one or two similar guys. Barbaric. The voice from the car reached Jia Yan's ears through the distance, but he just laughed. Laugh, no response. The universe is really strange. For example, Jia Yan always thought that only large creatures can be powerful in the entire universe, even in the fairy arm and here. But after seeing this little car and the little man in it, his idea was different. It turns out that such a small living body can evolve into such a powerful existence. Thinking about it before, Jia Yan seemed to have seen water drop-like creatures, and they were also extremely powerful races. In this way, there were not very few such strange races. He was just in this starry sky where there were many behemoths. That's all. Maybe it's possible to go to a planet full of villains in the future. Today's streets seem to be very strict. The closer you get to the collection point passage, the stricter the inspection becomes. For Jia Yan, each of these creatures is a possible danger in the future at this moment, so he tries to write down as much as possible. Location of these inspection locations. After a series of investigations, we finally arrived at the pass. Pass. A starry sky level being inside said calmly to Jia Yan. Although his strength does not seem to be strong, Jia Yan can see that he really has a trace of military bearing. This is the first time he has seen such a bearing among strong people, and he can't help but take a second look. The opponent's body is equipped with powerful weapons and equipment, and its strength is completely combat type. Unlike some strong men, although the energy level reaches the starry sky level, the actual combat power may not even reach the peak of the sky level. No one can defeat it. Seeing Jia Yan observing him like this, the other party couldn't help but glance at Jia Yan twice, causing Jia Yan to quickly retract his gaze. Before entering the collection point, he didn't want to be noticed by the powerful people here so early. Okay, you go in. The strong soldier-like man let Jia Yan pass directly. After passing here, Jia Yan secretly remembered this place. It turned out that even among strong men there were beings with such military aura. This was the first time he knew about it. As a strong man in the starry sky, Jia Yan's knowledge is still too narrow. After all, he was not born in a strong force, let alone in this prosperous place. He is just a primitive planet in the immortal arm, and even a small and elementary civilization. Not really. Therefore, Jia Yan's weakness is also extremely obvious. He doesn't know much about unknown existences and unknown energies. Even for the technological weapons in this starry sky, he still can't tell which ones are powerful and which ones are weak. Therefore, this battle may be the most dangerous in Jia Yan's history. Not only are the existences of the top 10 powerful men threatening him, but there are also technological weapons that he does not understand, which have the most deadly murderous intent on him. Mr. Jia Yan, come with me. I will lead you. Are you going to enter the collection point with the strong men from the angel camp, or are you going to enter alone? Not long after Jia Yan entered the police station, a standing figure about the same size as Jia Yan appeared in front of him. This is an existence with 5 heads. Although on the surface, it appears to be an early stage starry sky level being that is not very powerful, Jia Yan feels that his danger is even greater than that of an ordinary early stage starry sky level. The other party obviously also felt that Jia Yan was a big threat. He was looking at the big mosquito with surprise, but he was not vigilant. After all, this was their base camp, and as a soldier here, he had seen people like Jia Yan. There are too many existences like Yan. Hello, I am Jia Yan. You should know that I was just a foreign aid expert from the angel camp before. I will not act with them in this gathering conference. Jia Yan stepped forward and said to him kindly. Okay, but Mr. Jia Yan has been very popular recently, so you have to treat the media well later. The 5-headed monster with a military look stepped forward and led Jia Yan forward. Media. Jia Yan was startled, and before he could ask, he saw in his eyes why he said this to the matter. It turns out that there is an extremely tall giant door in the towering huge collection point passage. At the door of this giant door, there is a large group of people who look like the media reporters I saw a few days ago. He couldn't help but smile bitterly. These media were really chasing after powerful people like them. However, there seems to be some laissez-faire from the official government. After all, for them, the collection conference is also an opportunity for strong people to get closer to ordinary people. The strong people who have always been aloof in the past can directly show themselves to the audience in the media. Strong and approachable, this kind of thing is also something that several major forces are happy to see happen, so they allow so many media to enter the collection point. Otherwise, which media has the ability to come here? Mr. Jia Yan is here. Audiences in front of the holographic media. Walking in front of us is Mr. Jia Yan, who caused a huge sensation some time ago. This man once created miracles and even defeated the starry sky level powerhouses. We went to interview a few words from him. This is the deserted Interstellar TV station. We have met the dark horse figure of this collection competition, Mr. Jia Yan. Now we are going to interview Mr. Jia Yan. If you have anything to ask Mr. Jia Yan himself, please contact us and leave a message on the interactive platform. If you leave too many messages, we will ask Mr. Jia Yan on your behalf. As soon as Jia Yan approached the gate, a group of media reporters gathered around him. Launched a series of inquiries on Jia Yan. Mr. Jia Yan, here are the questions that our media statistics show that viewers have the most questions about you. Please answer them. Mr. Jia Yan, we at Galaxy Media have a problem? Excuse me, the biggest question from the audience is that if you go to a more powerful force team and the energy loss is not that big, Is it possible for you to defeat those few midterm powerhouses in the starry sky that you have not defeated? There is another question here, Mr. Jia Yan. There are fewer and fewer wives of strong men in the stars. Some media netizens asked, "You look very young. Do you know if you have a spouse now? What are your criteria for choosing a spouse? What is it again?" Jia Yan was stunned by the series of questions. He has never thought that the media in this starry sky is very similar to the Earth. This is because the media here never seemed to bother him in the past, let alone come as crowded as now. But obviously Jia Yan was wrong. These media obviously in the previous competition, in order not to affect the player's condition, we did not bother him. Now that he is liberated, he is almost like the media on Earth. It's not almost the same, but it's even worse than the media on Earth. Jia Yan was a little depressed. The female reporters here seemed to be very open-minded. Without him paying attention, his long feet were touched. He looked over with his compound eyes and saw on the other side. His abdomen was touched again. He wanted to scream indecent. But as a strong man, he absolutely couldn't do this kind of thing, that he was afraid of ordinary existences, so he had no choice but to endure it. Those midterm players are very strong. I can't defeat them even if I don't lose energy. Starting a family? Sorry, my path is to become strong, and I don't want to start a family for the time being. After finally walking through the bustling crowd of reporters, Jia Yan seemed to feel more tired than if he had been fighting for an hour. "Mr. Jia Yan, you have suffered." The five-headed military monster who led Jia Yan stood in front of Jia Yan with a faint smile, looking vaguely sarcastic. For them, the strong military monsters, these outside strong starry sky-level beings are simply insignificant existences. They believe that their strength is due to the techniques specially trained by the top 10 strong men. Is much stronger than most outside powerhouses, and Jia Yan is not even a midterm powerhouse. For them, it's even more funny. There should be a passage ahead, right? If it happens again, I won't be able to bear it. Jia Yan clearly saw the disdain in the other party's eyes, but he would not fight back. Everything will be revealed in the next period of time. Yes, I'll take you in. Despite his disdain, this military monster has not changed his mission of leading the way for Jia Yan. Follow him and step in front of the closed door. The door opens directly with a clicking sound. "Mr. Jia Yan, there are a total of 20 gates in our passage here, and this is just one of them. Those of you who have obtained the collection quota will be the first batch to pass through each gate. If you are not a powerful person, it is very difficult to encounter them, and the reason is very simple, because in the collection quota meeting, everyone is more or less a little bit festive. If the battle starts in such an important place as the collection point, the damage caused will be too great. So you will be separated as much as possible. You must know that the collection point is also the size of an entire planet, so it is basically impossible for you to encounter it." The five-headed monster explained while leading Jia Yan forward. And after they entered the door behind them closed again with a clicking sound. The light from the outside world was directly blocked, and for a while, it seemed a bit dark. Was Who Chinese channel, Rebirth of the Giant Mosquito in the Starry Sky only represents the author Bulletin Yu's point of view. If you find that its content is, please report any content that violates national laws and we will delete it immediately. We are committed to providing a healthy and green reading platform. Actively cooperate with the Special Action to Combat Pornographic Information on the Internet. Please book friends to report it. Thank you everyone. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin Yu. Chapter 586. Jia Yan walked forward with the five-headed monster in front of him. The five-headed monster saw Jia Yan looking around behind him, but thought it was rare and strange. After all, for ordinary creatures, this is the most mysterious place in the entire galaxy. It is not surprising that Jia Yan behaves like this when he comes here. Let me tell you in advance, the quota obtained in the collection conference is more of an honor. The major forces are for their own exposure, not for the collection quota itself. I hope Mr. Jia Yan will be more enthusiastic about the collection of Chaos Stones. It's better not to have too high expectations, he said. Jia Yan said. Jia Yan nodded clearly, I understand. He has known for a long time that for ordinary single players, there is not much benefit in obtaining a collection quota. It is just that for them, the unit price of the next foreign aid can be raised a bit, and it can be used as a joining a bargaining chip for some forces. When entering here, most people feel that it is just a kind of fame and gain. The amount you can get from a quota is only part of the amount, and no one can make a fortune. Okay, there are a lot of rules below. Let me tell you carefully. For your own safety, there are some things you must not touch, said the five-headed monster. While Jia Yan observed the surroundings, he wrote down what the five-headed monster said. However, for him, he would not remember the real principles, but would analyze the dangerous things, because these words maybe it will be something that will affect his life later. The light in the passage was very dark, and the passage was actually huge. The direction they were walking in was just one of the roads. For Jia Yan, what he saw was only a part of the passage. It looks dark here, but some of the things are ingenious and extremely gorgeous. Pipes are interspersed in the passages, and obscure roads lead everywhere. Jia Yan knew that this was only the bottom part of the passage. As a strong man, if he made a fuss here, he could destroy most of the things here. However, he also knew that this place would not be an important place, and further around, there was a sense of danger, which deeply stimulated his senses again and again. It seemed that there was something there that could be fatal to him. Of course, Jia Yan understands that he has not seen any of the technological weapons or truly dangerous things in the entire passage. As for the three terrifying top 10 powerful men, they are not something he can perceive at this moment. Okay, there is the access elevator ahead. You can take the elevator up, and then you can go directly to the collection point on the dolly side. But you must remember that the defense there is even tighter. If there is any movement, you will die. If you die, we will not be held responsible. The five-headed monster continued to confess for a few more times, and then retreated toward the rear. Jia Yan took a ride on a not-so-big elevator. The elevator was so dazzling that after he stood firm, the elevator started to move. It turns out that there are no people involved in this step. Presumably, we haven't entered the collection point yet. Even if there are people with bad intentions, there is no point in causing damage here. Jia Yan understood the relaxation at this moment. Jia Yan can feel the speed at which the elevator starts. It accelerated slowly, with a speed of less than 100 km per hour at first, then gradually accelerated, and actually accelerated to about 10 km per second. You must know that this speed is no joke. For a big mosquito, his speed is naturally faster than this speed, but this speed is actually much faster than the Earth's ancient rockets. However, without such speed, he would not be able to quickly reach the Chaos Stone collecting planet tens of thousands of kilometers away. From the perspective of the universe, this area close to the star has a very peculiar scenery. There are two small planet-sized cosmic temperaments. One is full of science fiction and the other is completely wrapped in metal. Moreover, the two are connected by a channel tens of thousands of miles long. It is not known how alien technology uses technology to connect them, let alone why they will not break apart accidentally. At this moment, Jia Yan's feeling for the outside world was not that strong. He could sense that there was a magical substance around him that separated him from the outside world. His brainwave power can only break through this blockade through force. But it is impossible for him to do this at the moment. After all, he is just a regular participant at the moment. If he does this, maybe he will be arrested when he gets to the other side. The distance of tens of thousands of kilometers seemed to be very close at the speed of the fast elevator. Not long after, Jia Yan heard a strange scream from the elevator, and then stopped. The elevator door opens. The scene in front of him made the big Mosquito's compound eyes tremble slightly. It turns out that there is a brightly lit scene in front of the elevator, and the outside world looks extremely vast. The feeling of being bright everywhere is completely opposite to before. Mr. Jia Yan, right? I am the defense soldier responsible for welcoming you. Please follow me. In front of the elevator door, there was a team of strong soldiers standing. Most of these guys are Starry Sky level powerhouses, and the one who spoke is even a midterm powerhouse. Although it can be seen that his strength is not stronger than Jia Yan, as a midterm powerhouse, he is definitely not a weakling. Maybe this leader also has a target. For example, Jia Yan's strength in the previous conference was just a strong man who barely reached the midterm, and this strong man just happened to be able to suppress the previous Jia Yan, so he was dispatched. Come take charge of Jia Yan. Hello, my name is Tianpa Peng. Next, I will lead you to walk and collect in this collection point, and I will explain some scenery to you. I hope we can spend the next few hours happily. This midterm strong monster named Tianpa Peng has a neither humble nor arrogant attitude towards Jia Yan, and his feelings towards Jia Yan are neither close nor far away, which is very consistent with the style of a soldier. This is the first time Jia Yan has seen a real soldier-like existence in this starry sky. When he was learning the language before, he knew that the creatures here would have armies or something like that, but this was the first time he saw it. It is said that in distant empires or large and small forces, armies are more common, but in desolate galaxies, there are fewer such soldiers, because this is not a normal force at all, not even a central force. None. The reason is extremely confusing. Your Excellency Jia Yan, have you seen that the area where we are standing now is part of the collection point ground? Although it is not close to the area where Chaos Stone can be collected, the energy concentration felt here has far exceeded outside. I believe you have felt it too. This is the effect of the Chaos Stone. Tianpa Peng and Jia Yan walked slowly along, introducing each other as they walked. Listening to the other party's introduction, Jia Yan did feel a different concentration of energy here. You must know that he is an evolved beast, and his feeling for energy may be stronger than all the creatures here, so now. His heart was also in turmoil. For Big Mosquito, the single biggest question this time was actually that the so-called Chaos Stone had always been only smelled but not seen in real form, so he was worried about the result after spending so much thought. Got here and found it didn't work for me. That would be a bit embarrassing, but now Jia Yan doesn't have the slightest worry about this. Because even if he walks on this land, he can feel the concentration of energy here, and he can even feel the restlessness in his body that is ready to move. His body could no longer stop its desire to devour. Jia Yan knew that this action was not in vain. The Chaos Stone here was definitely a good thing that could allow him to mutate. The famous Chaos Stone is indeed a good thing in this starry sky. Sure enough, I can react to it. So after confirming this matter, the next step is to find a way to obtain them. Jia Yan looked around. He knew that even if he was allowed to come to this planet, this place was too important to the managers here, and they would never be able to casually expose this important place to the eyes of the powerful person who won the conference. He even suspected that the so-called collection later would only be in the sense of sign. But for Jia Yan, there is no need to rush at this moment. The more urgent some things are, the more bad things will happen. The various battles and past experiences after his rebirth made him understand this truth. In front of the huge tanks neatly arranged, fully automated vehicles were coming and going. There are material transport vehicles in our area. Some of the vehicles here are our combat vehicles. However, because they have no use, they can only be used as transport vehicles. Pa Peng introduced Jia Yan that day. Jia Yan looked not far away. There were really many vehicles there. After all, although there were not many creatures here, they were all huge. Sometimes they wanted to eat, and the amount of food was enough for ordinary creatures. Decades worth. As a general logistics vehicle, a lot of materials are needed to transport here. Looking at the supplies there, Jia Yan's compound eyes flashed with something bright. As a strong life form, he has good eyesight and good brain power. With just such an estimate, he can roughly calculate the number of soldiers here. Tian Popeng once told him that whether this planet is big or small, it is not too small. There are a total of 30 similar teams on the entire planet. If a battle breaks out in one, the others will arrive within about 10 minutes. To be honest, the defense here is a bit unpalatable. Jia Yan looked at Tian Popeng beside him. At this moment, he was inseparable from Jia Yan, a foreign powerhouse, and Tian Popeng was also followed by those powerhouses in the early stage of the starry sky and heaven level. With them here, and Jia Yan's technological equipment hidden somewhere, he has no chance of winning. What should I do? Jia Yan followed him while appreciating the scenery here. To be honest, the scenery here is really unique. If you are just an ordinary strong person, coming here to see the extraordinary scenery may be a kind of bragging capital. But now, Jia Yan didn't have the slightest idea. Instead, he kept kissing around to see if there was anything on this bare planet that could spark his inspiration. This Chaos Stone collecting star was discovered 700 years ago. The first generation of discoverers wanted to take this place as their own. However, his method was quickly exposed and triggered a war in the nearby star field. The underground forces massacred the Chaos Star. After that, the Chaos Star was developed by the current major forces, which united all the nearby forces. This approach was approved by almost all the forces, and when the Star Master appeared, the Gathering Conference came into being. Life, for the creatures here, we need to be grateful to be able to avoid war and killing. Without those rules and laws, we would not be able to live in this starry sky. Native creatures like me, it is even more impossible to grow to the level of starry sky. You are an outsider and will not understand. At least for us, we are very grateful to those top masters. When Tian Popeng saw this, his eyes showed gratitude to those top experts. The same is true for several strong men behind him. Jia Yan somewhat understood that these powerful people were all local creatures, or in other words, they were the descendants of the powerful people who were transferred here. They were born and raised in this galaxy, so they had a strong sense of identification with this galaxy. He admires those 10 powerful men even more. He couldn't understand this feeling, but his heart sank. He knew that if these strong people had such a strong sense of identification with this place, then his actions here would be more difficult. While listening to Tian Popeng talking about the past of this place and the bare scenery around him, although Jia Yan could not see any changes in the scenery, it was a good thing for him to be able to delay for a while. Through Tian Popeng's mouth, he learned that a theft incident actually occurred on this planet 100 years ago. The intruder in that incident was directly killed by the 5th strongman among the top 10. Torn in half. There was also a strong man who, after getting a place in the conference, actually wanted to obtain more Chaos Stones than the limit, but was killed directly by these soldiers. Incidents such as this not only introduced the scenery to Jia Yan, but also seemed to reveal the strictness here, hoping that Jia Yan would not cause trouble. Okay, the front is the collection point for you players. I told you the specific collection method before. I hope you won't mess around. Go collect it. When he came to an empty area with only a huge house in front of him, Tian Popeng stood still and told Jia Yan directly. By the way, I forgot to tell you that the Chaos Stone, although everyone values it very much, has an extremely frightening and powerful poison. This poison can even be extremely harmful to us starry sky level experts. That's why we didn't go there. If you take too long to collect, accidents may happen, so I hope you can come out soon. Although the scenery inside is beautiful, we don't want you to stay for more than 10 minutes. I understand. Tian Popeng seemed to remember something and said to Jia Yan. He decided to bring the dangers of the Chaos Stone to the present just because he wanted to scare money at this moment. As a soldier here, he did not want any accidents to happen here, so speaking out at this moment would not be a good idea for the average strong person. A creature would be the greatest intimidation. It was very effective for them to do this before. Normally, the average Starry Sky level powerhouses stayed inside for about 20 minutes. The requirement above was to let them give the top powerhouses who came to the conference a baseline of 15 points, and Tian Popeng each time he spoke for 5 minutes. The powerful men who gathered there always hurriedly collected a few pieces of Chaos Stone and came out, making them laugh every time. But this time, the big mosquito, which had turned its back to them and turned its head forward, did not focus on this. He heard the words, "That's why we didn't go through." Gradually, a smile emerged in Big Mosquito's heart. No, the opportunity he wanted was brought to him by the other party. Since they are unwilling to enter the collection point casually, there are too many things that Jia Yan can do. As for this being a collection point exclusively for the strong men of the conference, the ore inside is extremely rare, so Jia Yan doesn't care about this issue. As long as this is a mining area, no matter how much Chaos Stone ore it contains, as long as it is connected to the main mine, then he has a solution. I had no choice before, but today Popeng gave me the last chance. He even said that the Chaos Stone has terrible toxins that even the Starry Sky experts are afraid of. If he hadn't said it, I wouldn't have dared to do the next thing, but if he had said it, it would have been a huge opportunity for me. A huge surprise suddenly appeared in Jia Yan's heart. These strong men are afraid of the toxins here, and although I am also afraid, my previous mutation can easily regenerate even severed limbs. As long as I mutate, it will be easy for me to mutate, just viruses or something like that, a problem that can be solved. Thinking of this, Jia Yan's eyes were filled with surprise. Although the fluctuations in his heart were extremely violent, there was nothing wrong with Jia Yan's performance. Instead, he walked directly towards the building that was more than 50 meters tall in front of him. As expected, the group of monster soldiers watching Jia Yan from behind did not approach. Their defense here is absolutely sufficient, and for the creatures here, the Chaos Stone contains toxins. Even the Starry Sky level is afraid of this matter. It is a natural replacement barrier, because there have been several incidents before. The strong men who entered here wanted to steal more Chaos Stones, but in the end they were either poisoned and unable to capture them, or were directly poisoned to death inside. As long as they watched, Jia Yan who entered quickly stole too many Chaos Stones. Run away from this matter directly. No matter how you look at it, it seems that the outsiders don't have any chance, and they are not necessarily thieves. Their expressions are extremely relaxed, and some of them simply start chatting. Jia Yan, on the other hand, walked into the huge building under the watchful eyes of the powerful soldiers. Was Who Chinese channel, Rebirth of the Giant Mosquito in the Starry Sky only represents the author Bulletin U's views. If you find that its content violates national laws and conflicts with national laws, please report it and we will delete it immediately. We are committed to providing a healthy and green position. Reading platform. Actively cooperate with the Special Action to Combat Pornographic Information on the Internet. Please book friends to report it. Thank you everyone. Reborn as an Interstellar Giant Mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 587. The powerful soldiers and creatures from the outside were talking about the conference in high spirits. It is said that this guy named Jia Yan seems to have some reputation in this gathering competition. His actual combat ability even surpasses some mid-level experts. I don't know if it is true. Don't talk about it. It's not that there are no strong people outside, but most of their combat power cannot be compared with ours. His combat power, if I suppress most of his strength, I can beat him. Popeng changed his conversation with Jia Yan that day. At that time, he was respectful and talked to his colleagues about how to easily kill Jia Yan. The creatures in this collection point are like this. Even if they agree with some strong people from the outside world, they despise more strong people from the outside world. After all, they here represent good talents and the ability to be defeated. Several powerful men gave personal guidance. Moreover, they also have some unique combat training and material help, and their actual combat effectiveness is naturally higher than that of strong people of the same level in the outside world, so it is inevitable that they will look down on most of the outside world. And they also have a lot of disdain for Jia Yan, who is gradually becoming famous. After all, he is only an existence in the early stage of starry sky. No matter how strong he has limits. Leaving aside these soldiers and creatures who look down on Jia Yan's strength, let's just say that Jia Yan entered the collection point. So this is what the so-called collection point looks like. Jia Yan looked at the things around him with a sense of surprise. The whole place exudes a strange atmosphere. To the big mosquito, the atmosphere here is completely a kind of terrifying energy, and even the body is gradually absorbing it. Some pore-like holes appeared in the exoskeleton of his body, and he gradually began to breathe. The body's functions also began to change, which was a sign that mutation was about to begin. Jia Yan's body and mind have reached the limit of mutation. Today, they are fully developed. It can be said that they have accumulated a lot of experience. Everything is natural. Tap tap tap, he walked in the huge building. Most of the things here are made of metal. They are intricate and twisted, one by one. Some tall metal modules are bigger than Jia Yan's body, and some are smaller than a hair. If you didn't know better, you would think that this is some kind of sophisticated research center. You never would have thought that this place is just for the convenience of the outside world. Visitors, a place where collection is carried out. If these technologies can be digested by the people on Earth, they can make technology soar for tens of thousands of years. Unfortunately, the difference between the two is so big that even those alien creatures with the fairy arms would have a hard time understanding them. Jia Yan looked at it. The technological creations around him had a look of surprise in their eyes. However, he did not forget his mission, and walked forward while observing the things around him. Jia Yan keenly discovered that this huge building contained some defensive weapons. Different from the technological weapons seen in the Yingxian arm and the red light building of the Earth before, these weapons were not large in size, but they emanated from them. The terrifying sense of power caused Jia Yan's body to react involuntarily. You must know that his sense of crisis has always been strong since he became strong. Now that he can have such a reaction, it is definitely not groundless. The level of danger here is definitely not to be underestimated. This place is only for contestants from the conference to get Chaos Stones, but each player has a strict limit on the number of Chaos Stones. When I came here, the limit was 20 pieces. The amount is very small, but if you take it, if you go out to sell, you will also get some money, and more importantly, your reputation. Jia Yan walked forward and saw an area that was about 150 meters long and wide. This area is filled with light, with rays of light moving slowly through it. Facing the wonderful scenery here, Jia Yan wanted to hold his breath and not destroy the beautiful thoughts. But this is impossible, because this is what he wants to get, that is, the precious Chaos Stone that has always existed in Jia Yan's mind but has never been seen. The so-called Chaos Stone was now displayed in front of Jia Yan. They are not real pieces of stone, but are embedded in the stone. The rays of light are emitted from it. The color of the light it emits is a strange cyan, and the energy contained in the light can be read. Extremely scary. They are piece by piece, showing an exposed form, embedded in the ground. The surrounding ground is not a simple thing. They also contain energy. For some forces, the energy contained in it may be enough for them to be happy. But now, these energy-containing lands are actually just a foil for the Chaos Stone? This is the Chaos Stone. Jia Yan continued to approach with some surprise. In the surrounding air, waves of energy invaded, gurgling towards his body. Jia Yan could feel that the energy in the air was too great for his body, although it was completely useful energy, but it is foreseeable that other strong men are really unable to absorb the energy here. It is almost like poison. It turns out that this is the cause of the toxin. Jia Yan looked at the chaos stones that were as big as a human palm. Although they were small, they exuded energy that made Jia Yan coveted. I looked around. There is what appears to be observation equipment overhead. Jia Yan didn't make too many moves. He just looked around and then read a warning sign next to him. Tell me, you can't stay here for more than 15 minutes, and weak and strong people can't stay here for more than 10 minutes, so please take the stone and leave as soon as possible, and don't make any hostile moves, otherwise you will not be held responsible if you are shot by the automatic system. From this warning sign, we know that there is definitely a defense here, and it will not be a simple defense. He looked at it and started collecting it normally. Standing at the edge of the 150-meter area, everything around here is Jia Yan's artificial creation, and in that area is the exposed ground. Perhaps this is the true face of this small celestial body, but here on the entire planet, the outside world has not seen such a scene for a long time. From the outside world, it is just a weird smooth star. There are extremely dangerous signs on the edge of this area. Jia Yan knows that none of the strong people who come here dare to go down. Pa Peng also told him the day before that he should not enter the collection area out of excessive curiosity. Jia Yan sensed this place and immediately understood why they said this, because the energy here was simply a presence that could not be ignored. They don't know what their structure is, but they emit terrifying energy radiation to the outside world. If scientists from the Earth come here, they might find that the radiation here is no place for humans to stay. Not to mention the source of radiation, this entire planet is a dead place that cannot be approached by people on Earth. After all, people on Earth are too weak to resist radiation. Jia Yan did not go down directly, but followed the method Pa Peng said that day, stretched out his front feet, and gently tried to move towards a chaos stone close to him. In the surrounding space, there is a simple operating platform with a mechanical arm on it. If the strong ones do not have the ability to resist, they can use this mechanical arm to collect. After all, the radiation is too terrible. The average starry sky level powerhouse cannot resist. However, the strong men will not admit that they cannot resist when they first arrive. Chaos Stone is the most valuable ore to the strong men in this galaxy. As strong men, they don't even dare to get close, and they are talking nonsense. Collect the ores here. Of course, the final end of most powerful people is to use mechanical arms in despair. There are even those who have been seriously injured due to severe radiation. Jia Yan stretched out his front feet and headed towards a chaos stone in front of him. This chaos stone emits terrifying energy fluctuations. As soon as his front foot entered the area of the ground exposed to the outside world, he felt a terrible sense of energy invading directly. It felt as if its front feet were being washed and all the cells and tissues were torn apart. This is what Jia Yan is most worried about. If his body can't even block the radiation energy here, let's not talk about the next thing. He may not even be able to absorb the chaos stone. After all, he can't even get close. Talk about it? Absorbing it is simply courting death. Fortunately, after the terrifying tearing feeling hit, Jia Yan analyzed through the sensory organs of his forefoot that his forefoot could resist. Good. His eyes moved directly. He moved his front legs without any trembling, picked up the chaos stone, which was the size of a human palm, and took it out. What they didn't know was that the powerful soldiers in the outside world could clearly see Jia Yan's actions through the big screen in front of them. Seeing Jia Yan taking out the first chaos stone so easily, they all cheered loudly. Yes, this guy named Jia Yan really has two skills. He is worthy of being a sensation. Next, Let's see how many Chaos Stones he can get before he can no longer hold on. The weakest heaven level here can insist on taking 3. Although he is an outsider, the standards of the heaven level cannot be impossible. Do it? Haha, it's hard to say. He is just an outsider. Although the heaven level beings here are slightly worse than him in level, their strength may not be worse than him. Moreover, taking the Chaos Stone is only a test of physical strength. There are special skills. Jing, you can't criticize outsiders like this. Tianpa Peng criticized the proud colleagues around him, but judging from his appearance, he didn't have much expectations for how many Chaos Stones Jia Yan could obtain. Jia Yan inside the collection point continued his actions without knowing this. The second piece, he looked at the Chaos Stones in front of him calmly and stretched out his front feet. Rankai's movements were not as cautious as last time. The previous test confirmed that the radiation from the Chaos Stone would not cause much damage to him, so he used some speed at this moment. How is that possible? Was this guy just testing? When the outside world saw Jia Yan inside, they suddenly sped up and walked away in shock. Looking at Jia Yan's previous movements, they thought that this guy might not be able to hold on for many pieces, but they didn't expect that his movements suddenly became faster. It directly overturned their previous speculation. It seems that this guy may have broken through 10 yuan. The world is indeed huge, and even the strong people outside dare not underestimate him. Breaking through 10 yuan is the strongest heaven level ability here. Jia Yan's head, illuminated by 2 Chaos Stones, shone brightly. Chaos Stones have their own light characteristics. Jia Yan just brings them close to him, and the light will shine on his body. The devouring desire in his body can hardly be concealed. Jia Yan looked at the 2 Chaos Stones in front of him. From the outside, it seemed that he was just observing the appearance of the Chaos Stones, but what others didn't know was that at this moment, I kept suppressing my desire to devour, but it was still somewhat uncontrollable. Forget it, although there may be surveillance here, they can't control others to put the Chaos Stone in their front feet, right? It turns out that the Chaos Stones obtained will have a small collection bag on the side. After the strong men put them in, they will not be troubled by radiation, but they never thought that there would be strong men who were unwilling to use the collection bag. Look, this guy doesn't even use a collection bag. Now his collection quantity will definitely be smaller. He doesn't even use a collection bag. The radiation will affect his body faster. Don't let him fall in there and ask us to go in and rescue him. Haha, don't underestimate him. Maybe he just didn't understand what the boss just explained, and now he doesn't know the function of the bag at all. It's not like there were no benzene guys like this in the past. If he really falls, one of us will die in the future. You has a joke, ha ha ha. The strong soldiers from the outside looked at Jia Yan inside and smiled one by one. They were even more interested in Jia Yan's acquisition of the Chaos Stones this time. Some soldiers even made bets on how many Chaos Stones Jia Yan could obtain in the end. I bet he can only withdraw 10 yuan. After all, he is above the average heaven level here, so he is considered worthy of him. I bet if he takes $15, he will either fall to the ground or be unable to hold back and use the robotic arm on one side. Tianpa Peng watched his colleagues on the side bet and shook his head helplessly. Although he was a soldier, he was still a strong man after all. He could not be too harsh in disciplining them. I bet, too, he suddenly said, I bet Mr. Jia Yan can get all 50 Chaos Stones directly. Hey! Boss, that's not what you thought about him just now. Why did you change your mind? The strong soldier on the side said in surprise. Haha, you don't know, I have seen a guy like this before. We were not optimistic about him entering here, thinking that there was no possibility of getting all the Chaos Stones in the early days of Starry Sky, but that guy is like Jia here. Mr. Yan was the same, very stable, and later he directly got a Chaos Stone worth 50 yuan. I think Mr. Jia Yan had a similar feeling. So I think he has a chance. Boss, you are thinking too much. His stability is indeed very good, but this guy stupidly holds the Chaos Stone at his feet. If he doesn't fall down, who will? I don't believe he can hold on to 30 yuan. You must know that this is something that only the moderately powerful among us can do. The soldiers around him expressed disbelief. Tian Popeng didn't insist much, after all, he himself didn't believe that Jia Yan could do it. Jia Yan inside continued his actions. His movements did not slow down as the outside world thought, but at this moment, they slowly became faster. This is actually the reason why Jia Yan deliberately slowed down. The sparkle in his eyes made him look at the scene in front of him with some vigor. There are still too few chaos stones here, and not even a little bit. After all, they are only collected for symbolic purposes by the powerful people in the conference. For me, even if all the chaos stones here are used, they will only be used. It can only provide a little starting point for mutation. Along with the movement, the dark light in his eyes became brighter and brighter. What no one knew was that the palm-sized chaos stones collected from his front feet began to melt directly, wrapped in a strange liquid. This liquid is the most miraculous material condensate that plays the most critical role in Jia Yan's mutant ability that has not been seen for a long time. These condensations emerged from the front feet little by little, and they directly wrapped the chaos stone. Then the molten substance begins to melt them. Chaos stone is indeed a famous energy substance in this galaxy. Under Jia Yan's current condensation, it did not melt quickly. It was just wrapped in the condensation and looked strangely rolling. But energy has begun to enter Jia Yan's body. It's great. This level of energy is dozens of times more powerful than those I've tried before. Jia Yan was very happy in his heart. For him, there is nothing more comfortable than reaching the peak of mutation, enjoying these most suitable top-level energies, and 21, 22. These chaos stones don't even have enough energy to start my mutation, but all the chaos stones in the chaos stone area in front of me are definitely enough to start my mutation. I really want to jump now. Go down, but it's not possible yet, wait until you collect all 50. Jia Yan was happily collecting data in his heart. What he didn't know was that his speed was getting faster and faster. He didn't seem to be in any pain at all, he was simply extremely happy. This, what's going on with this guy? Why is he getting faster and faster? It's already 30 yuan. Who said he would faint at 20 yuan? If this continues, he will definitely collect 50. Terrifying. Among the strong men in the outside world, the land is indeed vast and rich in resources. There is such a strong man after all. In the early days of Starry Sky, such a terrifying amount of chaos stones can be collected. Except for the two captains and deputy captains, no one here can do it. Are you here? Jia Yan's speed amazed the strong soldiers from the outside world. Their expressions still showed no signs of vigilance. However, as the captain, Tian Popeng's expression started to look strange at this moment. When he saw Jia Yan's speed, he was surprised at first, and even felt that the other party had used some unique method. But when Jia Yan's speed increased again, even his body showed a sense of anxiety. No. There's something weird about this Jia Yan, finally, Tian Popeng shouted with a solemn expression. Was Hu Chinese Channel, Rebirth of the Giant Mosquito in the Starry Sky only represents the author Bulletin Yu's views. If you find that its content violates national laws and conflicts with national laws, please report it and we will delete it immediately. We are committed to providing a healthy and green position. Reading platform. Actively cooperate with the Special Action to Combat Pornographic Information on the Internet, please book friends to report it, thank you everyone. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 588. What's wrong? Do you think this guy can get 50 Chaos Stones? When Pa Peng roared that day, several monster soldiers on one side looked at him in surprise. No, Tian Pa Peng was shocked. This Jia Yan definitely wants to do more than that. He wants to destroy. Bastards, all of them, be prepared. If anything goes wrong with him, rush in. Impossible, sir, are you mistaken? How could anyone dare to destroy it here? The creatures on one side looked at Tian Pa Peng strangely. The defense at this collection point is absolutely unprecedentedly powerful, and after so many years, for them, the powerful defense force here is enough to resist all outsiders even without powerful presences like them, not to mention Jia Yan at this moment it is next to the collection point area with the strongest defense. If you make any moves, you will definitely be hit by the most violent attack. Don't worry about whether what I said is right or not, prepare for me. This is an order, hurry up, Tian Pa Peng roared anxiously. Seeing the usually stable leader become so excited, the monster soldiers suddenly understood. There is a reason for Tian Pa Peng's words, and as soldiers, they just need to follow them. Tian Pa Peng looked at Jia Yan who was constantly moving inside the collection point on the video screen, and felt solemn in his heart. I hope my suspicion is wrong. This Jia Yan's movements are very similar to the strong man who destroyed the previous time, but that guy's speed is much slower than him, and after hunting him, I found that the chaos in his body was the radiation power of the stone has been prepared for a long time. Not only does Jia Yan's strength not reach the early stage of the starry sky, but it seems that some of the rules here have not been understood in advance. I hope I am overthinking it. The soldiers here moved faster, and Jia Yan seemed to feel the changes in the outside world. A terrible sense of energy suddenly surged out of his body. Boom! There is a terrible and huge pressure faintly appearing in the world. It turned out that Jia Yan directly liberated all the power that he had hidden for a long time. All the power that had not been used during the gathering conference suddenly emerged from his body. Even for the big mosquito, it was a bit shocking. My energy has become so much stronger. And it seems that my ability to control energy is much better than before. The self-training during the gathering conference was indeed not in vain. Jia Yan's heart was shaken, and he was pleasantly surprised by his own strength. His speed became even faster, and in an instant, he collected 48 pieces. This guy is already 48 UN and hasn't stopped yet. He is really weird. Hurry in. Seeing such a scene, the strong soldiers from the outside world immediately noticed the weirdness of this big mosquito. Generally speaking, even if he really had the strength to obtain 50 Chaos Stones, he would still have to slow down with this amount, but the big mosquito was getting faster and faster, with no sign of stopping at all. Charge! A powerful creature rushed towards the huge building at the collection point. They were already some distance away from there, and they didn't know much about the dangers of large mosquitoes before. After all, it was just an ordinary collection. They had experienced similar things dozens of times, if not 100, so at this moment it was really, there is a sense of relaxation. And when they started to speed up, the big mosquito inside had already collected 50 UN of Chaos Stones. You have finished collecting, please exit the collection point, thank you. The electronically synthesized mechanical sound sounded in Jia Yan's ears. The voice was extremely cold, as if Jia Yan would directly attack if he hadn't gone out. But Jia Yan just glanced at the gun barrel exposed on the top of the building. Although the sense of crisis was extremely intense, it did not move at all. His front feet suddenly moved together. Suddenly, two shadows suddenly appeared in the sky. They were as fast as lightning. They grabbed 2 Chaos Stones at once. As if the terrible radiation had no effect at all, they copied them directly into the shadows. These 2 shadows are Jia Yan's 2 front legs. Their speed is so fast that they almost have a faint yellow light. This is the true form of Kuzena. And at this moment, Jia Yan's body energy continued to release, and he even moved his feet, stepping into the area where the Chaos Stone was buried. Beep beep beep. The entire building rang with extremely ferocious alarm bells. The sound of alarms shocked the soldiers outside. Does this guy really dare to take action? He thinks that if he can collect 50 Chaos Stones, he will really surpass most of us? He will never know how terrifying the power we control is. Death. He actually carried out sabotage actions on the collection points we defended. He is simply desperate. Kill him. Whoosh whoosh. A group of powerful monsters flew into the collection point area, and they had already put on expensive protective clothing during their movements. They could not defend against the radiation energy here as easily as Jia Yan. The area inside the collection point can be said to be intricate. The tubes are like natural defenses. They cannot move too fast. In fact, this is also a defensive measure to prevent the destruction of the target and prevent them from escaping quickly. But the original designers probably would never have discovered that the intruders in this area did not flee to the outside world, but chose another way. Poof. Inside the area, Jia Yan has heard the noise from the outside world, and his body has now completely arrived in the collection area. Under his feet are shining chaos stones, and the terrifying radiation energy is invading all the time the surface of his body. But here, Jia Yan didn't feel any pain. Although the radiated energy was indeed powerful, causing his body to have a slight reaction, but for him, he felt more of the huge energy here, directly. The water flows into my body, it's like pain and happiness coexist, and it's extremely comfortable. Asshole, why haven't the defensive weapons been turned on yet? When a wave of strong soldiers came from the outside world, seeing this scene, they were a little depressed as to why the defensive weapons hadn't been turned on yet. Don't worry, because sometimes fainting will occur. In order to avoid accidental injuries, the defensive weapons will not be activated until some time has passed. This guy can't escape. Destroy here. Unless he can go to heaven and earth, otherwise, he will definitely escape. No. Yes, it is impossible to go to the sky. The defensive steel at the collection point is extremely terrifying. Although his combat power is strong, it is impossible to break through the steel and fly away. When entering the ground, the radiation underground is very powerful. He dare not and cannot enter the Chaos Stone. In this case, he is just a turtle in the urn, and we can easily catch him. Before I capture this guy and hand him over to the superiors, I must torture him well and let him know that if he dares to come and sabotage our camp number 51, he will be eating the guts of a tiger's heart. Tian Popeng looked at Jia Yan, who was standing not far away in the collection area, feeling a little strange at this moment. He was a strong man with very strong instincts. Strange things he felt were usually crises or other aspects. Stop arguing, this guy is really weird, move quickly, he shouted at Seikon, and then moved towards the area where the big mosquito was. Fly away directly. His attack weapons have been displayed in the air. His attacks are absolutely terrifying for ordinary people in the early stage of the starry sky. They are even vaguely similar to the strength of the last strongman of the Jirji team. At this moment, Jia Yan saw the attack coming from behind. There was suddenly a trace of emotion in his compound eyes, but the swing speed of his front foot did not stop at all. Puff puff. The speed of the front foot was so fast that it dazzled the strong soldiers who were watching. Tian Popeng's attack with weapons emitted a bright light and directly attacked Jia Yan's body. This attack was extremely fast, and during the attack, streaks of brilliance appeared in the weapon, which seemed to have some energy bonus. Jia Yan turned around, his forefoot that was blocked by his body was still waving, his compound eyes reflected Tian Popeng's attack weapon, which was something like a huge long knife, and Jia Yan was in before this. I had never seen the existence of this starry sky. Using such a terrifying weapon must be a powerful thing unique to the strong people here, right? But there was not much fear in Jia Yan's compound eyes. The huge long knife almost stabbed his head. And right now? Boom! A terrifying sound resounded in the sky and the earth, and the ground in the collection area in front of the big mosquito collapsed. And his body also experienced a boost of brainwave power at this moment, and it sank directly downwards. It turned out that when this group of strong soldiers came over, Jia Yan had been digging into the ground with his front feet. Now he finally met his requirements and the ground collapsed directly. What? Pa Peng was a little surprised that day and slashed the air with his sword. Jia Yan's body seemed to be on a downward elevator and sank directly. In this short period of time, he actually dug a large hole 30 meters deep and sank into the hole in an instant. His front feet were still digging. Die! Tian Pa Peng looked at the large mosquitoes digging below and slashed hard from above. But at this time, Jia Yan shot out a middle foot. Puff! Weirdly colored blood splattered. I don't know what material the giant sword was made of, but with one touch, blood actually appeared on Jin's midfoot. But the moment the blood appeared, a blue color suddenly appeared in his midfoot, firmly blocking the long knife. Tian Pa Peng became more confused about the big mosquito, and he seemed to be used to being surprised again and again. But the fighting is still going on. Jia Yan's two front legs were still digging desperately, while Tian Pa Peng above him swung out countless knives in an instant. Although Jia Yan lacked the two most powerful front legs to fight the enemy, the performance of the two midfoots did not fade much. Even though he was unfamiliar with them in the battle, he still fended off the opponent's attacks time and time again. The opponent was surprised by the big mosquito's resistance, but in fact, Jia Yan was also extremely surprised by Pa Peng's attack power that day. You know, in the first attack before, his midfoot almost failed to block it. The opponent's sword was so fast that Zhang Yian's defense could hardly react. Puff puff. Attacks one after another continued to strike. After 5 seconds of fighting between the two sides, the powerful soldiers from the rear finally arrived. Come here and help. Tian Pa Peng saw Jia Yan waving his forefoot and the soil-containing chaos stones on the ground kept flying. He shouted anxiously to his subordinates behind him. At the same time, Jia Yan has reached a critical point here. Although I don't want to show the secret method here, but it doesn't work. There was suddenly a hint of determination in his eyes. Bo! An invisible energy spread violently from the midfoot where Jia Yan and Tian Pa Peng were fighting. The color of this energy is bright yellow. Is this really possible? Damn it! When Pa Peng recognized this huge energy that day, it was true energy. At the same time, the terrifying power that burst out from the midfoot that was fighting with him suddenly pressed directly onto the knife-shaped weapon he was holding. This was a terrifying energy, more than double the previous one. Tian Pa Peng, who had struggled to fight Zongzi before, could not resist it at all. Puff! A fierce blow from the middle foot sent Tian Pa Peng flying. Head! How is it possible? Is this Jia Yan really just a junior star in the sky? The strong soldiers who gathered around saw Tian Pa Peng being directly knocked away by a blow, and they suddenly felt extremely shocked and angry. You must know that their leader, as a leader of the collection point, not to mention other things, his combat ability can easily reach the title of a powerful mid-term powerhouse in the outside world, only better than the strongest level of the Mantis Judge. Those who are weaker are just weak. But such a Tian Pa Peng was knocked away by a single blow. It's hard to believe that Jia Yan has reached the level of a Mantis referee. These famous soldiers and strong men all felt extremely frightened. But they have to attack, you know, this is their mission. And they couldn't believe that even an extremely powerful midterm expert could really defeat their elite team 1 against 10. Jia Yan naturally cannot defeat these strong men in one go. After all, even if there is a gap in strength, the strong men here are all extremely strong beings at the same level. He cannot defeat them in a short time, but if a huge threat is if you are dragged by them, it will come. That is the defensive weapon in this collection point. About 10 seconds have passed here. Jia Yan does not know why the defensive weapon here did not attack together with these strong soldiers, but he understands that if the defensive weapon is activated, even he was not sure of the complete confrontation, so he simply gave up the fight with these strong men at this time. Boom! Just then all the soldiers and strong men gathered around. Just when he was about to use a powerful weapon to attack the big mosquito, the ground under Jia Yan's feet suddenly erupted with a heart-shaking roar. Jia Yan's body suddenly sank. It turned out that at this moment, his front feet had been digging for so long that he dug a deeper hole. He sank toward Fang, and at the same time, one of his feet accurately stabbed the pile of chaos stone soil above. The moment he sank, the top directly collapsed. Boom 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 boom. Continuous explosion-like sounds continued to resound above the head. Jia Yan felt that his body was pressed hard by endless pressure in an instant. This must be a joint attack by the strong men above. Those chaos stones and the surrounding soil are definitely hard things. Jia Yan couldn't dig them when he was digging before, so now that Fu can bear the attacks he has endured, he also has some defense. Jia Yan only felt a trace of force, but was not injured at all. There was a flash of light in his compound eyes, and his front and middle suddenly moved. Puff 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 puff. The strong men in the collection area above saw the sound of digging coming from the large hole that was 100 meters deep. No, I'm going to capture him. A strong soldier from the early stage of Starry Sky became anxious and flew down to the area. But when he was in mid-air, the protective suit he was wearing started to sound an alarm, and then the strong man's body rang out with unbearable explosive sounds, and he let out a scream. He flew back to the area above. No, the radiation energy below is stronger. My body can't bear it, and you probably can't either. How could this guy go down? He is obviously only in the early stage of the Starry Sky, that's all. Don't worry, he won't survive long if he goes down. Let's not go down, hurry up and wait for other adults to come and receive his body. The vibrations below were heard continuously, and Jia Yan's body did not seem to be weak and dead. It feels like I am more energetic. The few strong soldiers who were busy reporting to the superiors all had some bad premonitions in their hearts. Boom boom boom. And not long after, the sound from the ground quickly became smaller and gradually disappeared. It's not that Jia Yan is too weak to continue digging, but that this guy has dug farther and farther, and can't even hear the sound. This guy, isn't he afraid of the radiation from the Chaos Stone? A strong soldier finally spoke out an idea that was swirling in his heart but was unwilling to be spoken out at this moment. Asshole. Headquarters, hurry up and connect me to the line above. Tian Popeng felt very cold in his heart at this moment, and roared directly to the auditing operator on the other side of the communicator. They all know that if Jia Yan is really a being who is not afraid of the radiation from the Chaos Stone, then things will be very serious. Boom 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 boom. In the earth, a dark creature kept digging underground. Although he looks like a flying creature, at this moment he looks like a burrowing creature, constantly digging and advancing rapidly in the ground. Was Who Chinese channel, Rebirth of the Giant Mosquito in the Starry Sky only represents the author Bulletin Yu's views. If you find that its content violates national laws and conflicts with national laws, please report it and we will delete it immediately. We are committed to providing a healthy and green position. Reading platform. Actively cooperate with the Special Action to Combat Pornographic Information on the Internet. Please book friends to report it. Thank you everyone. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin Yu. Chapter 589. The surrounding terrifying radiation energy continued to affect Jia Yan's body, causing extremely severe pain. This kind of energy was so terrifying that waves of azure color appeared in his body unconsciously, blocking this terrifying radiation energy. Even the blue defense was forced to appear, which shows how terrifying the energy of this radiation is. Jia Yan, on the other hand, was constantly using his speed to unleash the potential in his body while moving forward. He knew that now was a moment of life and death. His life or death depended on how far he could escape. As long as he escaped far enough, in the underground, especially the underground full of radiation, the strong men behind him would be able to track him. It's not that easy anymore. As long as he stays far away, Jia Yan is confident that the other party will not be able to find him casually. Puff. While digging, a terrifying power suddenly erupted from the surface of the mosquito's body. The color of this energy is light yellow, and it looks extremely clear. Looking at its inner parts, it seems to contain a trace of the power of heaven and earth. When this energy burst out, Jia Yan's digging speed suddenly increased. Puff 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 puff. Waves of terrifying energy exploded underground. Jia Yan's speed is very fast. For ordinary beings, it is extremely rare to survive in the Chaos Stone underground with strong radiation. But Jia Yan can be like a fish in water here. If he tells it, no one will believe it. And if you look closely at the half-exploded energy from his body, you can tell that his appearance is a powerful sense of color that is very familiar to Jia Yan and other strong men. Really capable. If the energy released by Jia Yan were seen by the angel camp, they would definitely be dumbfounded, especially the four-eyed monster. He had personally seen Jia Yan start from scratch, learn real energy directly from him, and didn't even know the real energy at first. You don't even understand the basics, but now you can master true power? It's only been a few days? Although most beings may not believe that Jia Yan can master true power in a short period of time, the energy on the surface of his body is undoubtedly true. Although the light yellow color indicates that it is in its early stages, and at first glance, it seems that the amount of this true energy is not too much, and it is obvious that it has just been realized not long ago. But this is indeed true and there is no doubt about it. There is nothing surprising about the true energy appearing in Jia Yan's body. As a strong man who has long understood the energy classification in this starry sky, his understanding of true energy at this moment is absolutely extremely profound. Even if his body is fundamentally different from the creatures here, his true power might be stronger. And his breakthrough in true energy happened yesterday. I don't know whether it was today's sense of crisis that promoted his breakthrough, or whether Jia Yan's understanding of true energy really reached a critical point of breakthrough, so he broke through naturally. He didn't have the real ability to break through just now, but it worked today. For him, the increased energy just makes up for his weakness in attack. Now he has Azure Defense as a defense, which can really be used as a basis for attack. It can be said that there are no big shortcomings in offense and defense, so he was surrounded by several strong soldiers before and was able to escape calmly. You can also escape into the underground before the defensive weapons are activated. Boom boom boom. Jia Yan's digging speed continued without any slowdown. To the big mosquito, the chaos stones in front of him were pieces of good stuff full of temptations, but now he had no time to stop and enjoy it, which made him feel helpless and depressed. His endurance is extremely strong. It is not something that ordinary starry sky level experts can do to break through the mud of the chaos stone in front of him. Even Jia Yan needs a little strength to break through it. Maybe the experts above are unable to do so. Unexpectedly, the big mosquito actually broke through this area and went directly to other places in a short period of time. Not long after, the big mosquito's body strength felt relaxed for a while. He can't hold on any longer physically. This place is almost 100 kilometers away from the collection point, right? Jia Yan let out a long sigh of relief. The terrifying radiation around him is becoming more and more intense, which is normal, because during his travels, in order not to be heard by the beings on the ground, he has been drilling below the surface of the earth. Although he has not yet reached the center of the planet, but the distance is not far. The radiation here has become more intense because of the higher concentration of Chaos Stone. Well, with this distance and depth, it must be difficult for them to find me, and even if they find me easily, it is not that simple to capture me. Only professional machines, or the top 10 strong men in person get out of danger. No matter what happens, I have enough time. Jia Yan's body stabilized in the soil slowly squirmed, looking for the place with the greatest concentration of Chaos Stone. I don't know how this Chaos Stone was formed. The energy and radiation are so terrifying. If my body didn't have blue defense, I wouldn't be able to go down so deep. Jia Yan began to devour himself while groping for the surrounding soil and rocks. On the surface of the big mosquito's body, traces of condensation emerged. These condensations squirmed quickly, sucking the surrounding chaos stones to the periphery of the body, and then decomposed and dissolved. The chaos stones that Jia Yan initially pinched in his feet had long since disappeared into his feet. They turned into traces of energy, with a different sense of stimulation, and flowed back into the mosquito's body through the condensation. It feels so good, Jia Yan almost screamed involuntarily at this moment, because this pleasant feeling may be the most comfortable he has experienced since he mutated so many times. The energy of the Chaos Stone may appear to contain extremely terrifying radiation, but after absorbing it into the body, it feels very docile. It is a stimulation of life changes and an extremely comfortable feeling for the physiological organs. The injury that Jia Yan had just sustained on his midfoot was slowly being repaired at this moment. At the same time, the condensate started from here and squirmed slightly, wrapping Jia Yan from the head up. No, I can't just lose consciousness. This is the enemy's lair. If I lose my consciousness, it's not certain whether I can wake up. Jia Yan remembered that he had retained consciousness and mutated to a certain extent last time, so even if he was going to mutate this time, he was still urging himself not to lose consciousness. The pain in the body gradually deepens. Jia Yan didn't know how much time had passed, he only knew that here he was about to take on the most important level in the future. As long as this level is passed, his strength will be greatly improved next, at least to the level of the top 10 strong men. After all, every mutation has never disappointed Jia Yan, and his own estimation, as long as the intensity of the mutation is still as huge as before, coupled with the true power he now possesses, and the advantages of blue defense, his strength may be stronger than the top 10 among the top 10. Of course, the mutation has not been completed. These speculations are all wild speculations, and Jia Yan does not know where the Chaos Stone will take his mutation. After all, each mutated raw material brings Jia Yan a different mutation direction. If the Chaos Stone does not improve his combat strength much, then the next battle will be difficult to predict. Persist in. Jia Yan was about to lose consciousness. Deep underground, there is no light, no oxygen, and no living creatures. This place is like a dead land. For the big mosquito, everything here makes him feel a wave of danger in the darkness. Feeling of loneliness. However, he is not unfamiliar with loneliness at all, but is too familiar with it. After rebirth, night after night, in life and death battles, he has always been the same person. Even his family members no longer have a sense of identity because of their different races. Jia Yan can even feel that his affection for his family members is with them. Slowly fade. This is a very scary thing. For Jia Yan, something that may be the meaning of his life is being destroyed by himself. At this time, these feelings of loneliness hit him, making his longing for his family even deeper. How can I get rid of this kind of loneliness? Well, I am so powerful, but the troubles I have are no different from those of ordinary humans. I am even worse than them. They at least have friends, but what about me? Jia Yan's body continued to feel huge pain, but for him, it was this feeling of loneliness that came out of nowhere that made him even more concerned. Finally, an extremely terrifying pain suddenly invaded him. No, hold on, The sharp pain brought him back to his senses from his thoughts of self-pity. For the big mosquito, at this moment, his only purpose is to survive. The troubles he is thinking about can only be answered if he survives. A wave of pain invaded his mind and he could no longer think about other things. The severe pain slowly occupied almost all of his thoughts, making it impossible for him to think about loneliness anymore, and he no longer had any thoughts to think about loneliness. The huge pain again and again annihilated all these emotions. His mind was in great pain, and his body was spinning directly in the mud. This behemoth kept spinning in the area about 100 kilometers away from the ground, causing huge undulations like landslides in the entire ground. Boom boom boom. The fluctuations in the ground even caused earthquakes on the ground, but because the distance was too far and the fluctuations were not large, almost everyone had no time to pay attention to these changes. Yes, all life on the ground can no longer pay attention to the small ups and downs of the ground at this moment. At this moment, they were in a state of extreme panic. The existences on the ground at this moment, whether they are strong soldiers in the major collection points or those strong people who came to participate in the collection, all know at this moment that a strong man who obtained the collection quota in the collection conference is in the collection point. Actually caused trouble and even ran away. What? You said it was Jia Yan who caused the trouble? That foreign aide from our angel camp before. This is impossible. Yes, how could it be Jia Yan? Not to mention whether he has any intentions, but only his strength. It would be a big problem to escape under the hands of a strong soldier like you, and still cause trouble. There is no way it is his. Outside the gathering point for the angel camp's beings, a group of angel camp's beings were surrounded by the soldiers and strong men who came over. When they heard that the reason for surrounding them was actually Jia Yan, the biggest contributor to their previous collection conference, they were all stunned and couldn't believe it. Don't believe me? I told you, please don't move until your suspicions are cleared. We will not be responsible for any deaths or injuries caused. The leader of the soldiers who surrounded the four strong men was quite polite to the beings in the angel camp. After all, he knew that there was also a powerful being in the headquarters of the angel camp, who might not be too close to the top 10 strong men. Big difference. The relationship between their angel camp and Jia Yan is good. Although the two parties may not be too involved, it is absolutely necessary to control the existence of the angel camp at this time. How is it possible? How could Jia Yan come here to cause trouble? I don't believe it. The scale monster looked a little unbelievable. It's really possible. This guy asked us to grant him a quota to enter the collection point from the beginning, and his strength is always unfathomable. Now it seems that maybe he really wanted to take advantage of us from the beginning. The pink monster was also among several strong men, and there was some anger towards Jia Yan in her words. This Jia Yan is too unloyal to their angel camp. If he really hid his strength all the way, he didn't have any good intentions towards their angel camp from the beginning. Stop saying that. If Jia Yan only used us, he wouldn't have helped me break through on the way. In fact, he should be right to use us from the beginning, but this matter will not harm our angel camp. Duh, forget it, from now on, our angel camp will have nothing to do with him. The four-eyed monster shook his head helplessly. The scaly monster sighed sadly. She knew why Jia Yan had distanced himself from them before. It turned out to be because this guy wanted to do such a bold thing here. He obviously didn't want to drag down the existence of Angel Camp. That's why he was so cold before. The soldiers who surrounded the Angel Camp were slightly relieved when they saw that the expressions of the people in the Angel Camp did not seem to be fake, because they were afraid that the existence here was also some saboteurs, which would be troublesome. What? Then Jia Yan is a destroyer, and his strength is completely different from what he showed in the conference. Yes, you must cooperate with my official work. Please do not resist. We are just sending you to the same place to guard. I hope you understand that we are just on guard against his partners who may appear here. The huge tentacle monster was extremely shocked. He was the one who fought with Jia Yan in the conference. Before, he thought that Jia Yan's fighting power was just this. If he fought outside, his winning rate would definitely increase greatly. A lot, but now he knows that Jia Yan's fighting ability may not be what he shows at all. Not only him, but all the strong men who had fought against Jia Yan, some defeated him, some lost to him. Anyway, as long as they got the quota to enter the collection point, they were all dumbfounded at this moment. Performance, everyone felt a little shocked. I hope you understand that no matter what, this Jia Yan is bound to die. The 9th strongest man among the top 10 strong men, Mr. Pailan, has come down. As you know, when the top 10 strong men are, no strong person can escape their pursuit. No matter how hard Jia Yan hides his strength, he will be dead. The soldiers explained to the restless strong men. They had no doubts about Jia Yan's conclusion, and most of the strong men who won the conference. After all, the names of the top 10 powerful men are no different from those in heaven and earth to the powerful men in this starry sky. Even if Jia Yan is really strong, his energy is still at the initial level. Even if you take 100 steps back, this strong man is still a high-level strong man in the starry sky, but his combat power cannot exceed the top 10 strong men. You know, the top 10 powerhouses are the pinnacle of the high level. Their combat power has long surpassed that of ordinary high-level powerhouses. They can be said to be existences standing on the threshold of entering the stellar level. Master Pailan is down? It's great to see Master Pailan again. The last time I saw Master Pailan was 50 years ago. This time I can see his dignity again. I must also thank Najia. It's impossible to make a rock, haha. I see, let alone Lord Palin, Jia Yan can easily kill him even with his bodyguards and Chiyuan. You must know that among your bodyguards, there are 2 extremely powerful high-level beings in the starry sky. For us, this kind of existence can be killed with 1 finger. It is easy to deal with Jia Yan. Among the large amount of discussion, there was no outside powerhouse who was optimistic about Jia Yan. Even the soldier powerhouse did not show any signs of worry. Although the powerful combat power in this collection point was well known to the outside world, it is difficult to cause trouble, but every once in a while, there will always be some strong people who are not afraid of death and come to cause damage, and they are used to it. But unlike these beings, a group of beings coming from above the collection point, that is, from the port planet, were a little dignified. Master Palin, don't worry so much. Jia Yan is not a 3-headed 6-armed man. I have seen his battles, and he is not a strong man of our level at all, because a truly strong man can be seen through his actions. This kind of existence, they are just waiting for us to catch turtles in the urn in the gathering star. No. Didn't you hear it? This Jia Yan got into the Chaos Stone before. And you didn't see this image of him. Alas, by the way, even if you saw it, you wouldn't know it. I understand what this means, and now I hope that we can rush there in time. How could this kind of thing come to a remote place like ours? He is probably a huge creature, its whole body hidden in the darkness, spoke worried words to several powerful subordinates in the special elevator passage. Was Who Chinese channel, Rebirth of the Giant Mosquito in the Starry Sky only represents the author Bulletin U's views. If you find that its content violates national laws and conflicts with national laws, please report it and we will delete it immediately. We are committed to providing a healthy and green position. Reading platform. Actively cooperate with the Special Action to Combat Pornographic Information on the Internet. Please book friends to report it. Thank you everyone. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 590. Huh? What kind of existence is this Jia Yan? I heard that my powerful master spoke with a hint of fear towards that Jia Yan. The network is worthy of your collection LX. The other beings in the elevator also had weird looks in their eyes. You must know that their lord is a top star among the stars. What kind of existence is Jia Yan? Even this lord shows fear. This time, a group of strong players no longer looked down upon Jia Yan, an enemy from the outside. And at the moment when a famous being was shocked because of Jia Yan. Far below their feet, deep inside the planet, most of the strong men dared not go down, and they did not even dare to imagine that a strong man could stay down there for so long. Bang bang bang. The sound of heartbeats began to beat vigorously here. This is the sound coming from powerful vitality. For ordinary creatures, this level of vitality is unimaginable. Even for a star-level powerhouse, such terrifying vitality is unprecedented and extremely impressive. In fact, this kind of vitality is the unique power of the evolved beast. Yes, here is an evolutionary beast mutating alone. He is so lonely, even if you cannot see his appearance during evolution, you can feel his state of mind through the changes in energy around him. However, even if he feels lonely, his mutation will continue and he will work hard to survive. Not everyone knows the meaning of survival, but if you can live, I believe no one will want to give up. Especially for someone like him who has experienced ups and downs and survived battle after battle. For Jia Yan, this life is extremely exciting, and he really works extremely hard, even if he has to. If he is worthy of his hard work in the past, he will also work hard to survive. As a strong person, self-questioning is always happening, and the same is true for Jia Yan. If there is no motivation to become stronger, then the meaning of survival of this strong person will also be lost. This is a sad thing. The meaning of his current strength is that he wants to be stronger, to see how powerful the real strong man in this starry sky is, and to see what kind of scenery there will be on the road to becoming the strongest. And if he wants to return to Earth, he can only do so if he becomes stronger. So Jia Yan's efforts will continue. Bang 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 bang. The sound of heartbeats kept ringing deep underground. The chaos stones gathered on one side are constantly being pulled by the condensation secreted by them and melting into their own body. Some of the condensation is constantly decomposed and transported directly to the inside of the body, and then transformed into mutated nutrients. At this moment, Jia Yan has some vague understanding of these energies. He knows that the source of the energy of the Chaos Stone is definitely the creation of nature, and the appearance of this energy is also extremely difficult to find. Having such Chaos Stone collection materials in this galaxy is a blessing from heaven. And here, Jia Yan gradually read out from the Chaos Stones that the benefit of these Chaos Stones is not only that they can mutate for Jia Yan, but that at this moment, they have a kind of energy cleansing for the big mosquitoes. His body and mind felt something unusual in this moment of pain and comfort. This is a crystallization of unique energy from another starry sky. It is also a powerful substance that has mutated again for Jia Yan. In this Chaos Stone, I can feel the difference between the starry sky and the immortal arm. The energy in my body even has some conflicts with the energy here, but it can still be merged with difficulty. It's simply a magical thing. Jia Yan is undergoing his own transformation while sensing everything around him. The pain in his body did not seem to be as strong as he imagined. He was even able to release his own energy and observe the outside world. There is no sense of fluctuation in the soil above. Obviously, the people above have not thought of any countermeasures to deal with me. He knew that his actions must have shocked the top management of the collection point, and might even alarm the top 10 extremely powerful men. However, they might not have much regard for Jia Yan, who was hiding deep underground. There are many ways. Jia Yan can barely resist the radiation fluctuations here, but for ordinary starry sky level experts, it is a terrible toxin. The radiation energy here is so powerful that it can even kill a person. The strong ones in the midterm of starry sky cannot hold on for even 1 minute. It was extremely difficult for Jia Yan's body to persist here. This was another reason why he forced himself not to lose consciousness. If it is the top 10 strong men, they might be able to come down. If protected by some technological equipment, ordinary midterm strong men might be able to come down and arrest me. So I can't lose consciousness. Jia Yan desperately resisted the energy around him. Condensation continued to emerge from his body, directly picking up the chaos stones around him, and then melted them into his body, transforming them into mutated energy. This chaos stone is indeed the best energy ore in the starry sky. It has a good mutation effect on me. Moreover, the materials around here contain not only chaos stone, but also other minerals. Although it is less powerful than chaos stone, they are insignificant things, but for my mutation, they are all somewhat harmonious. Jia Yan thought about the surrounding materials, which fit his mutation requirements very well. I suddenly felt very happy. As mentioned before, the mutation of the big mosquito does not mean that only one powerful substance can work, but that many substances need to be combined to achieve the best effect. The terrain this time, if we don't take into account the powerful presence of the group above, it is possible to pursue them. Maybe it's the best conditions ever. Hurry up and dig out as much energy as possible before they find this place. Jia Yan had actually been prepared for a long time. If the opponent chased him, he would escape like this. When he was on Earth, he had done something similar before, mutating while fighting fighter jets. Through that time, he learned that his own mutation had a tendency to increase his combat effectiveness during the process of mutation, so he still planned this time. If the opponent came to pursue him directly, then he would carry his mutated body like this. Start your escape. The biggest question right now is whether he can resist the severe pain of mutation. If you faint, it's useless to say anything, and you'll have no choice but to surrender. Just when Jia Yan kept pumping up his willpower, in the soil above, a clear and loud vibration suddenly appeared. Coming, there was a trace of solemnity in his eyes. Boom boom boom. An extremely terrifying sense of power ruthlessly developed through the soil above and came down to the layer of earth where Jia Yan was hiding. What a terrifying power! Could it be that this is one of the top 10 strong men? Jia Yan felt the power transmitting from the upper layer of soil. Although there was no harm when he got here because the tight chaos stone was dissolved, there was no danger. It suddenly made him a little shocked. The power of this force was unbelievably powerful for Jia Yan. The energy in his body may not be half as powerful as the others. You must know that this so-called half is still the new energy obtained by him constantly absorbing energy at this moment. If only counting before, then his energy may not be less than a quarter of the opponent's. It doesn't have to be the top 10 strong ones. If it is the top 10 strong ones, maybe it will be stronger, Jia Yan analyzed, and at the same time he also felt a little anxious. The opponent was bombarding 100 kilometers above, and they obviously found him here. So how long can the barrier of a mere 100 kilometers in the Chaos Stone area block the strong men above? He does not know. Quick! There are so many Chaos Stones here, but I can't absorb them quickly. Jia Yan's body is still at the beginning of the mutation and is beginning to be wrapped in condensation. He can still move at this moment. So he suddenly moved in anxiety. Rumble, rumble. The chaos stones around him were squeezed away piece by piece. My power has indeed become stronger. This level of power is comparable to that of the Mantis referee before. Jia Yan's eyes lit up. This was still a situation where he didn't use his true power. Although he didn't know how strong the Mantis referee was at his strongest, at this moment, Jia Yan felt that if he faced off head-on, he would definitely be able to defeat that powerful referee if he used all his cards. This is the scary thing about the evolved beast. If an ordinary strong person wants to upgrade his strength from the ordinary starry sky to the level of the Mantis judge, it will take who knows how long it will take. And Jia Yan, the evolved beast, in just a few days, in this half-mutated state, he was almost as strong as the strong referee. The bombardment from above continued, and some of the rumbling sounds could be heard here. Jia Yan's body also moved more anxiously, but no matter where the Chaos Stone gathered, it could not meet his requirements. He tried his best to absorb enough Chaos Stone energy before the other party arrived, directly store the energy, and then use the increased power from the mutation to maximize his escape. After all, Jia Yan understands that even if he really mutates, for the top 10 strong men here, they will have to fight to know who is strong and who is weak. Before the mutation is completed, his strength is nothing compared to the existence of the top 10 strong men. The only thing worthy of praise is probably his blue defense, right? In the continuous absorption, due to the invasion of radiation energy, the azure blue in Jia Yan's body becomes brighter and brighter. The defensive power of his blue defense seemed to have made great progress at this moment. The pain in my body, if I say it doesn't hurt, that would be a lie. Pain. Numb. Itch. The energy of the Chaos Stone was like heart-burning liquor, constantly eating into Jia Yan's internal organs, constantly causing intense pain to his body. And as soon as Jia Yan moved, the pain became more intense, as if when the human body was paralyzed, if he moved again, the pain would be extremely uncomfortable. The only difference was that Jia Yan's pain was thousands of times more intense. His body tissues were decomposing, and the condensation gradually replaced the ordinary body substances, wrapping Jia Yan's body more tightly. The bombardment above is also gradually approaching here. The energy of the mutated Chaos Stone is at least half missing. Jia Yan was a little depressed as he kept bombarding his front feet in all directions. There has been some melting of the front feet, which is a normal sign caused by the mutation of his body. At this moment, Jia Yan's attack power is greatly reduced. After a while, his body is basically melted, and the attack power will be even more reduced. But before that, I still have to bombard with my front feet to see where there are a lot of Chaos Stones. Otherwise, there would be no time to fully absorb enough mutated Chaos Stones before the beings coming from above. Jia Yan still doesn't know what the consequences of such a mutation will be if he only absorbs half of the mutated matter, but he knows that this kind of fate is not something he wants to see, because every mutation is considered perfect. This time, he doesn't want it to happen. Any imperfections? Boom. Finally, Jia Yan's body moved several kilometers, and with one strike, his front foot stabbed into the soil, creating a huge hole in front of him. The view in front of him immediately made Jia Yan feel happy. This is an area where Chaos Stones gather. The Chaos Stone here, for some unknown reason, has almost no other substances and no impurities at all. The bright brilliance even illuminates Jia Yan's eyes. Is this? Haha, there is no perfect way. Jia Yan didn't care how the Chaos Stones here were formed. At this moment, seeing so many Chaos Stones, he was so ecstatic that he rushed forward. Sizzling. The sound of condensate rapidly evaporating kept resounding in the small space bombarded by Jia Yan. Because Jia Yan couldn't see the whole area of the large Chaos Stone area in front of him, he didn't know how vast this Chaos Stone gathering area was. At the same time, on the ground in the sky, a huge creature, its entire body hidden in the air, just looked at the strong men who were digging below, and made worried words. If that guy is that kind of existence, he might be evolving down there right now, if he finds him there. Thinking of this being shook his head with faint trembling. No, the space underground is so huge, how could he casually discover it? The strong man directly rejected his bad premonition. The creature digging below was a terrifying and powerful monster. His entire body was dark, and it looked comparable to Jia Yan's black color. His digging speed was extremely fast, and the energy fluctuations emanating from his body directly reached a terrifying level of the late starry sky. It's not even an ordinary starry sky late stage, it can be considered a strong one in the late stage. He was digging hard, but he didn't want the huge existence hidden in the shadows above his head to shout at him. Bim, hurry up, I have a bad feeling. Yes, Lord Palin, the strong monster couldn't help being startled when he heard this, and then he really used all his strength to quickly dig into the radiation of the Chaos Stone. He had never seen this powerful person from the top 10 showing such a worried look. At this moment, he immediately understood the seriousness of the situation and used almost all his strength to dig downwards. When he moved here, Jia Yan, who was not too far below, immediately noticed. Huh? The existence above actually accelerated the speed? The digging speed of this existence is actually a little faster than my digging using true energy. It is simply terrifyingly powerful. Jia Yan knew that apart from his other beings, he could either use his own power to resist the radiation energy in the Chaos Stone, or use equipment. However, no matter which method he used, this being could still exert such terrifying power at this moment. All represent his strength. Hurry up, I am absorbing it here, but it seems to be a little slow. Let's see if the power inside the center of the Chaos Stone is stronger. Jia Yan's body squeezed forward. If the hidden strong man above knew that Jia Yan was squeezing directly into the Chaos Stone gathering area because of his urging, he might slap himself twice. Because the thing he cares about most is the central area of the Chaos Stone. Jia Yan's body kept squeezing forward. The more he squeezed in, the easier it would be for his condensate secretions to absorb the substances around him. Even the pain has been reduced a lot. What's in front of here? Jia Yan also discovered something was wrong. For evolved beast, sensitivity to energy is natural. At this moment, he reacted directly to the energy in front of him. This sense of energy is definitely not something that can be caused by Chaos Stone. But the feeling of energy is somewhat similar to the Chaos Stone, almost in the same vein. What on earth is it? It's 10 times more powerful than the ordinary Chaos Stone, maybe 100 times more. Jia Yan walked forward in shock. The surrounding Chaos Stones were directly squeezed away by him, and then his body saw the thing that exuded a huge sense of energy. This is Chaos Stone. No, this is not Chaos Stone. But what's wrong with saying it's not? What is it? Jia Yan looked at the things in front of him, a little shocked and unable to speak. His brainwave power directly wrapped the surrounding terrain for observation. Through the observation of brainwave power, I saw this thing, which was more than 50 meters in size. The whole body is in the shape of a sphere, and the whole body is exuding a gleaming brilliance, which is almost blinding to the eyes. It is like a Chaos Stone, but it is different. The biggest difference is that the energy it exudes is much higher than an ordinary Chaos Stone. What on earth is it? Jia Yan was a little shocked and couldn't help but exhale softly. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 591. This is something similar to the Chaos Stone, but obviously different. Its texture is soft and not as hard as the Chaos Stone in the outside world. And to the Chaos Stone, its existence is like that rare thing, proud as the king in this area. This huge and dazzling thing seemed to Jia Yan like that terrifying energy placement body, which was basically formed of energy, and the energy it released was clearly in the same line as the ordinary Chaos Stone, but it was a little different. The biggest difference is that the energy it contains is at least 100 times greater than other Chaos Stones in the outside world. This is a good thing. How could the big people at the collection point here not have discovered this thing? Its value is at least 1,000 times that of ordinary Chaos Stone. Jia Yan was excited and rushed forward to absorb energy from this huge energy thing. As long as he can swallow this thing, his body should have enough mutant energy. Poof. When Jia Yan's body approached this huge thing, the condensate poured out as if he couldn't wait, melting the surface of this huge substance similar to the Chaos Stone. The substance that had no sense of danger before suddenly appeared damaged on the surface, and a terrifying radiation energy suddenly emerged from the inside. Whoosh! Streams of energy material were directly shot on the surface of Jia Yan's body. Fortunately, part of it was absorbed by the blue material, and the other part was absorbed by the body. It narrowly did not cause huge damage inside his body. Ah! What kind of radiation is this? It's so scary. That's right, I thought it was not a chaos stone before, but now it seems that it is definitely a chaos stone, because there is also a huge amount of radiation inside this stone, and it is just like the chaos stone. The same feeling. Just many times stronger. Jia Yan felt the surface of his body being invaded by radiation energy, and suddenly felt a little unbearable. Even he could not bear this kind of radiation. Give up this opportunity, death is waiting for me. Come again, Jia Yan gritted his teeth in his heart and moved forward fiercely towards the material in front of him. The radiance emitted by this substance is a terrifyingly strong green light, and the green light it emits seems to turn into substance, deeply hurting all living creatures that are close to it. Although Jia Yan's body was in mutated pain, he could still clearly feel the power of this injury. The pain increased and it was simply unbearable. But his tenacity came into play at this moment. That tenacious sense of survival has never been extinguished even in desperate situations. How could the danger at this moment knock him down? Jia Yan's body slammed into the material that radiated energy, and the condensate poured out quickly, directly melting the surface of the things in front of him, and its nutrients were slowly absorbed by the condensate, entering the body's interior, and transformed into for his mutant power. This is the so-called pain and happiness, right? I can feel the mutation speed of my body getting faster. But this kind of severe pain is really damn painful. Jia Yan was shaking with some collapse. However, his body did not waver at all. At this moment, he rushed directly into the huge material in front. His body is not as big as the others, so if he powers into the other's body at this moment, he will definitely be enveloped. On the surface of his body, he is actually still wearing the armor that Daphne helped to create. Ever since it was put on, it has been helping Jia Yan win battle after battle, and he also has some feelings. At this moment, it is rapidly changing into a condensed one. Liquid objects. Although he was a little reluctant to let go, Jia Yan felt a little more comfortable when he thought that the other person would become a part of his body forever. He also has a pair of armor, which is the powerful battle armor he purchased before. He is not using it at the moment, and he will have to replace it in the future. The powerful radiation energy is not scary, and it actually passes through the layers of the ground and passes into the sky layer by layer. Ground. The behemoth hidden in the air had been looking at his subordinates below with a solemn expression before, carrying out digging work, but at this moment, he suddenly felt a wave of radiant energy transmitted from the ground. Although this energy has been washed away by heavy underground energy and has been weakened a lot here, the strong men present are all powerful beings. It is naturally impossible for them not to be aware of this energy. Could it be that guy who destroyed that place? Bastard! I worked so hard to make that thing. The strong man hidden in the air, whose aura was originally vague, suddenly became stronger, and his body became slightly solidified from the air. It seemed that his temper had exploded, causing his body to be exposed. However, before the strong man's body was about to be completely revealed, he was severely put away and hidden in the air again. But his anger could not be concealed at this moment, as if the arrogance turned into substance burned the world directly. Show me. I want to see if he dares to touch my thing. If he does, even if he is that kind of existence, he will definitely die. The shadow in the sky rushed directly towards the dug hole. Of course, even though this being said this, he still had hope in his heart, and that was to pray that the existence below would not be the kind of existence he thought. Things are not that simple, but as a strong man, he has put too much effort into the thing below. If it is really destroyed, he doesn't know if he will go crazy. Boom boom boom. When the dark existence jumped up to give up its position, the strong man from the shadow suddenly blasted into the ground. The power of the bombardment was earth-shattering, and it was simply terrifying. The speed at which the surface penetrated downwards accelerated in an instant. Under the earth, Jia Yan is still trying to squeeze into the space. As an evolved beast, he has swallowed a lot of things, but this is the first time he has seen something so difficult to swallow. Work hard, the strong man in front of you is coming soon, huh? Why did the strong man in Kong's descent increase so much? Jia Yan wanted to cheer himself up, but after sensing the speed of the powerful warrior's arrival, his heart suddenly sank. The speed of the opponent's descent seemed to be that of a different person, speeding up by an unknown amount. The time before their arrival might have been half an hour later, but now it was directly mentioned to 15 minutes later. I also have to speed up. The guy coming here has extremely terrifying strength. Jia Yan understood this, and the anxiety in his heart suddenly turned into motivation. Squeak. The speed of his squeeze forward suddenly increased. At this moment, his speed also increased several times. He also worked hard. He could feel the anger of the opponent's approaching speed. Jia Yan didn't know if what he was digging at this moment was the previous existence. He only knew that if he did not fully absorb the mutation energy, then his mutation would not be successful. What's more important is that without that energy entering his body, even if his current strength has some mutated energy pouring out, it is still impossible to escape. The only hope of escape is to absorb enough mutant energy at this moment, and then use this overflowing energy to escape from this collection point. Although that was really a narrow escape, it was better than now with no hope at all. Quick, quick, quick. Jia Yan was so excited that he directly used his own perception to feel the presence of Fang Lai. His body desperately squeezed into a huge substance similar to Chaos Stone. Huh? What is this? Suddenly, when Jia Yan truly entered the core of matter, he was instantly startled. It turned out that in front of him, a little brilliance bloomed, and the intense light almost made people lose their light. Jia Yan looked at the change in front of him in shock, unable to react. This mutated heart substance is a pool of strange blue-gray liquid. It is an existence similar to the Chaos Stone in the outside world, and the energy it contains is also extremely terrifying. It can even be said that the energy contained in this energy liquid is comparable to other powerful Chaos Stones in the outside world. The level of terror exceeds 1,000 or even thousands of times. What a terrifying energy liquid, and even the substances surrounding it are 100 times more terrifying. What on earth is this? Jia Yan was in disbelief and did not dare to approach that pool of matter, because the terrifying energy emanating from the surface almost made Jia Yan feel like his whole body was being torn apart when he came close. This feeling was close to killing him. Sometimes, evolutionary beasts don't dare to swallow anything with huge energy. Otherwise, wouldn't it be more enjoyable to fly a spaceship into a star? And this material also reached a level that made Jia Yan almost afraid to touch it. Its energy was so great that Jia Yan felt that if he touched it too much, he might have an accident. Jia Yan did not dare to touch the blue-gray liquid, so his body could only be devoured crazily in the upgraded version of the Chaos Stone material around it. Boom boom boom. But as he devoured these substances faster, the speed of the powerful men bombarded by the air became faster and faster. It seemed that the more Jia Yan devoured, the more anxious he became. Only 10 minutes later, the bombardment from the sky approached Jia Yan's location, only about a kilometer away. No, I can't devour it in a hurry. Jia Yan looked at the condensation secreted by his body. At this moment, not even half of the huge substance had been swallowed. His perception was that the mutation energy of his body was still a long way off, at least not such a small amount could satisfy the mutation. He is an extremely powerful person in the early stage of the starry sky. If just some materials can cause mutation, it would be too cheap. Jia Yan only now discovered that his mutation requires energy. It exceeded his own estimation, because he felt that even if this huge substance was completely absorbed and the waste was expelled from the body, the Chaos Stone within 2 kilometers around it would have to be completely swallowed to complete this mutation. No. There are only 700 meters left. The other party is so anxious to catch up, so they won't have a good talk with me, right? Is my current mutant energy enough for me to escape the pursuit of a strong man of this level? Impossible. Based on the intensity of the opponent's energy, Jia Yan directly deduced that his escape could not avoid the opponent's pursuit. At this moment, the ferocity in his compound eyes was directly exposed. Be cruel to others, but even more cruel to yourself. Isn't it a liquid with huge energy? I used to drink liquids and survive all the way. Jia Yan looked at the blue-gray liquid that exuded terrifying energy, his eyes shining fiercely. He's going to fight. Isn't it a little weird-colored liquid? Have I eaten too many weird liquids in my life? Jia Yan wanted to laugh when he thought of the liquid he sucked. He probably was really inseparable from liquids in his life. The blue-gray liquid that appeared now was, at best, an upgraded version of the previous liquids. Spell. After laughing at himself, his fear of this terrifying energy thing suddenly weakened a lot at this moment, his eyes flashed with absolute determination, and then he was approaching with an impact. The needle penetrated directly into it and sucked hard. This time, the terrifying energy was sucked directly into the mouth needle. Rather than sucking, it was better to say that it was directly absorbing energy, and it was also extremely harmful energy. Hey, hey, hey. The terrifying energy seemed to explode in Jia Yan's mouth needle, turning into streams of energy in his mouth like a direct bombardment. This cannot be called sucking at all, but self-inflicted murder. Ah, Jia Yan could barely hide his pain and was about to scream. Not far away, a figure with a terrifying aura also arrived at a place less than 500 meters away, where it was almost possible to attack. And this figure felt the change in front of him, and his anger suddenly burst out. Asshole! The Chaos Stone essence that I reserved for breaking through to the starry sky level in the future was actually swallowed. Ho ho! That terrifying figure directly punched the Chaos Stone area in front, causing the entire underground to tremble. This strong man is naturally Pai Lan, one of the top 10 strong men in the deserted galaxy who came here after chasing Jia Yan. The reason why this strong man took the initiative to go down here to hunt down the strong men who came here to cause destruction is precisely because he knew that his strong hope was also the important item Chaos Stone that he had been raising for a long time to prepare for entering the stellar level in the future essence. Here, he doesn't want anything to go wrong. But at this moment, Jia Yan not only really found the location of his essence, but also really broke through the packages of defensive Chaos Stones, and was frantically sucking up the essence. Seeing that the Jing Ai liquid, which had been placed in a special Chaos Stone breeding tank and had been raised with great effort for 100 years, was almost taking shape, was sucked in by Jia Yan, a big mosquito, and all this happened in front of his eyes. He was so exhausted. How can Lan not be angry? You actually attacked from such a distance. Jia Yan over there was a little shocked by the opponent's attack at this moment, but it seemed that the opponent wanted to break through 500 meters in an instant and attack him with one blow. It was not that simple. The opponent's attack only advanced about 300 meters and then stopped, without touching Jia Yan's body at all. This also made Jia Yan relax a little. He could be bombarded from any stone area, so Jia Yan felt that it would be easier for him to surrender cleanly. But even so, for Jia Yan, who had spent all his efforts to dig a cave leading here, it was no surprise. As a strong man, he never thought that in the starry sky level, such a terrifying existence actually exists. This must be one of the top 10 strong men. He is indeed one of the top 10 strong men. He actually has such terrifying attack power. I don't want to be hit by him like this. Quick, quick, quick. Jia Yan ignored the severe pain transmitted by the needle, and even ignored the energy, directly causing huge damage to his body, and sucked hard. Hey! In the Chaos Stone container holding liquid in front, all the blue-gray liquid was sucked up directly. It hurts. Ah, Jia Yan seemed to have eaten a bomb in his abdomen, and his body was rolling in this open area. Boom boom boom. The severe pain made him feel the chaos stones around him that had general radiating power. Are all cute little things, but at this moment, because his body has swallowed the terrifying essence of the chaos stone, the terrifying radiation emitted from his body exceeds that of the surrounding chaos stones, causing them to melt if they come close. The terrifying radiation energy kept tossing in Jia Yan's abdomen, and the azure defense of Jia Yan's body also appeared. They blocked the energy, but there was no way to completely block it, because this was an item that Jia Yan actively swallowed, which seemed to be azure. The defense will also recognize their type. At this moment, it is just a matter of using the overly powerful blue-gray liquid to help prevent the body from being hurt quickly. And the condensate inside the body is evaporating rapidly. They are wrapped in the area where the blue-gray liquid is. A large part of it is directly vaporized by the energy before it can get close, but there is still a part that is lucky enough to pass through this terrifying energy at this moment. The washing slowly dissolved part of the blue-gray energy, transferred it to the body, and turned it into mutated nutrients. Boom! Jia Yan felt that an unprecedented battle was breaking out in his body. This battle was so deafening that he couldn't use all his strength. The terrifying energy almost made him faint. However, Jia Yan did not faint at this moment. He knew that he could not faint. He had a more important escape process next. If he fainted now, he would soon die. Bang! And at the moment when he finished swallowing the blue-gray liquid and his body became a little dazed for a moment, a terrifying and earth-shattering bombardment appeared in front of him. Boom boom boom. Boy, give me your life. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito author, Bulletin U. Chapter 592. Click here to read on mobile phone. This is a huge monster that seems to be hidden in the surrounding space. His body even reaches a huge size of nearly 100 meters. The terrifying arrogance is revealed from its body, which looks extremely terrifying. Please search product #BookYuan to see the most complete list. The fastest updated novel. Boom boom boom, one of his claws clawed at Jia Yan in front of him like crazy, and the momentum contained in it was simply unparalleled. The world was vaguely controlled. Jia Yan only felt that the air around him and the space for movement were stiff. He wanted to move, but it became almost impossible. So strong. This must be one of the top 10 strong men. He felt that the sense of crisis in his body suddenly reached an unprecedented peak. At this moment, his body suddenly had a surge of mutant power. The liquid energy that had just entered his body also gurgled and flowed in his blood, accelerating the speed at which his power became stronger. Not strong enough. With my current strength, without the enhancement of mutant energy, I wouldn't be able to dodge this blow. I need to be stronger, stronger, stronger. Jia Yan has some crazy desire for survival in his heart, and he is desperately surging. For him, he has not encountered such a situation where his life is hanging by a thread for a long time. To be honest, Jia Yan has never even encountered a person with more than 100 powerful people. I have so many opponents. The mysterious liquid energy that had just been swallowed up in the body could not be directly converted into power at this moment. Jia Yan only had time to activate his blue defense, and this defense could be activated, and the huge claws were already moving quickly. Is coming. Boo. In this flash of lightning, there was not much sound or much vibration, because all these sounds were too slow at this moment. Too slow. Too slow. At this time, time seemed to slow down again, and Jia Yan could clearly see that the huge claws of the monster hidden in the space were directly printed on the surface of his body, and then the claws fiercely hit his side and abdomen directly. Collapse. And the moment he felt a severe pain, a life-saving color suddenly appeared in the abdomen where he was bombarded by the opponent. The blue color suddenly surged out. To Jia Yan, this color was really infinitely beautiful. At this moment, although he was a step slower, he still blocked the opponent's attack at the critical moment. What happened at this moment only happened in just 1/100th of a second, and at the same time that the blue defense appeared, the opponent's attack had not been blocked yet. Puff. After the claws directly flattened the side of the abdomen, it was blocked by the blue defense. Then a hint of astonishment suddenly appeared in the opponent's eyes. However, the opponent's attack was not over at this moment. At this moment, Jia Yan could still feel the helplessness. The terrifying attack power poured out fiercely in the direction of his side. He only felt that his body was suddenly bombarded by this force, and then the blue defense blocked the opponent's attack for a moment. Puff puff. In the area blocked by Azure defense, there were sounds of being overwhelmed. Jia Yan, on the other hand, looked at his body solemnly. The opponent's attack at this moment was more powerful than he expected. Maybe the blue defense would not be able to withstand such an attack. Such thoughts emerged in his heart, and then he was in a trance. His blue defense would not be able to block the enemy's attacks. For Jia Yan, it was really something that he had never thought about. If he hadn't really felt the opponent's attack at this moment, and instantly felt like breaking through Zanlin's defense, he would have never thought of anything like this before. It seems that the blue defense is not omnipotent against real strong players. I must pay attention to it in the future, but now, it must be blocked, Jia Yan thought through gritted teeth in his heart. Puff puff. Jia Yan felt that the energy invasion in his body was getting stronger. He really had a stronger intuitive feeling about the other party's fear, but at this moment, he also had greater trust in his blue defense. He can't break it. As expected, the opponent's attack could not take another step forward after Jia Yan's Azure defense appeared. At this moment, Jia Yan's body still had to withstand the invasion of terrifying power, but there was no trace of defense leakage on the surface of the body itself. Move. Huh, the other party obviously didn't expect that his attack had no effect on Jia Yan. At this moment, his expression was a bit shocked and felt incredible. But even if Jia Yan can resist the opponent's attack, how can such a simple thing be attacked by the top 10 strong men? Boom boom boom. Jia Yan only felt as if his body was on a roller coaster, bombarding directly towards the rear. The huge power made the inside of his body seem to be completely disturbed. The terrifying power invaded his body, causing blue defenses to appear suddenly on the surface of the Mosquito's body. The level of these blue defenses is not the level that appears under normal circumstances, but at this moment, after feeling the terrifying power of this energy, he directly uses the huge power of Jia Yan's body to be able to defend the opponent's attack. If it had been in the past, Jia Yan's body would have been drained of all energy by the blue defense after such a defense, and he would even lose any combat effectiveness. But it's different now. Now is the time for Jia Yan to mutate. Not only has he swallowed such a huge amount of Chaos Stone, but he also has the essence of the Chaos Stone in his body. The total amount of energy is absolutely terrifying. He doesn't know this energy yet, but it is right in front of him. It is a product used by the top 10 strong men Pailan to advance to the next level. Otherwise, how could these other powerful substances appear for no reason in an ordinary or land? Of course, nothing can be said now to conceal the fact that Jia Yan devoured the opponent's advancement items at this moment. Therefore, the other party's anger is not wrong. Although the more I look at you, the more you look like that terrifying existence, but at this time, you are just an early stage in the starry sky. If I kill you, I can avoid future troubles. Nalan looked at Jia Yan's body with a hint of ferocity. Before, he had some doubts about whether this existence was the kind of existence he thought. However, after seeing Jia Yan's Azure defense, he directly eliminated this idea. This early starry sky level existence is definitely who he thinks he is. But his current strength is too weak. If he kills the opponent now, he will avoid future troubles. If he doesn't kill Jia Yan, the anger in his heart will never go away. But if he wants to kill, he must kill him. This is his current thought. Boom 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 boom. Underground, there were constant sounds of loud vibrations. This sound was originally impossible to occur in the densely packed underground, but it still appeared at this moment. That represents the bombardment energy underground, which is really terrifying. Ah! Jia Yan let out shrill screams. He felt that his body was really a hodgepodge of pain at this moment. It was the pain of the opponent's bombardment, the pain of mutation, and the pain caused by the terrible mysterious liquid. He felt that he was too busy screaming, and he didn't know what kind of pain he should scream for. Die. It's amazing that the existence hidden in the space actually launched an attack again at this moment. Jia Yan's compound eyes were a little bright and he forced his body to move. Boom boom boom. To his own expectation, with such a movement, he felt that his body had traveled 100 meters in an instant. In the dense chaos stone space, it actually moved quickly. And Pai Lan obviously didn't expect Jia Yan's speed to be so fast. One of his claws directly grabbed a large piece of chaos stone. Bang bang bang. The sound of countless chaos stones exploding emerged from the ground. The terrifying radiation was like a beast that preyed on people, exploding in all directions, seeming to destroy everything in front of it. It's a pity that their terrifying radiation energy doesn't seem to do much harm to the two beings in front of them. Jia Yan is like a dead pig who is not afraid of boiling water, and that row of blue seems to be really immune to this level of radiation, without any sense of harm. Boy, you can actually escape. That Pai Lan obviously didn't expect that Jia Yan could move so fast underground. At this moment, the solemn meaning in his eyes was revealed, and then the surface of his body popped. A trace of yellow light lit up. The top 10 powerful people actually want to show their true power to me. How despicable. Jia Yan felt his head spin when he saw the other party's body surface. At this moment, the mysterious powerful man's original fighting power was terrifying and unbelievable. And after using true energy, his energy became more than twice as powerful. To deal with a wholly strong man, not using true power would be disrespectful to you. Young wholly strong man, just die. The row of blue roared and struck directly with a punch. Holy powerful one? What is holy powerful one? Jia Yan was stunned for a moment, but the next moment, his body suddenly started to move laterally. Even if he was disturbed by the other party's words, he did not forget that the other party's attack power was more powerful than he imagined. His body moved sideways, but with the blessing of true power, Jia Yan's strength was now several times stronger even after being enhanced by mutant energy. His body was not completely avoided, and he was hit hard by it. Hit the right flank. Jia Yan let out a slight groan. The power of this blow was beyond his imagination. The blue defense only lasted for a moment before it burst. With a snap, a small wound appeared on his body. Very good. The holy powerhouse is really so terrifying. My full attack can only cause you such a small amount of damage. This is only the existence of starry sky in its early days. It is even more terrifying than rumors. But since you appear if you are injured, that means I can kill you. Just die here. When Na Pai Lan saw that Jia Yan was injured, surprise suddenly appeared on his face. It seemed that he really valued Jia Yan more than Jia Yan imagined. Roll. Seeing that the other party was still attacking him, Jia Yan's head exploded with violent emotions. He didn't want to fight against this existence, but due to his own situation, if he couldn't quickly go to a calm place and slowly wait for the mutated if it is completed, then his only end will be death. Jia Yan is also going to fight? One of his front feet poked out. Jia Yan had never felt that he could be so fast. With the blessing of mutated energy, Jia Yan himself didn't know how fast he was now. He just knew that his speed was definitely much faster than the strong mantis he saw a few days ago. It's just that this speed seems to be too slow for the existence of the top 10 powerful people in front of you. Boom! Jia Yan's front foot was barely halfway out, and the opponent's attack hit the surface of his body. Jia Yan felt a bright blue light in front of his eyes. The liquid outside his body had no blocking power at all, and the exoskeleton that followed was hit. After breaking the blue defense, a sharp pain spread inside his body. Humph! He let out a cold snort. Although this was the first time in a long time that Big Mosquito had been beaten like this by an enemy, his tolerance for pain had long surpassed that of ordinary strong men. At this time, the plot after regaining consciousness from the pain, the other front foot seemed to follow the other person like a shadow, following the opponent's attack on the body in front of him, and stabbed his head fiercely. Call. What I didn't expect was that this top 10 strong man was actually not alert to Jia Yan's violent death counterattack. Although he was using his true power to block it, it was possible that Jia Yan's blow could not easily hurt him. Or the damage was just a little bit of damage, but he refused to get hurt and directly escaped from Jia Yan's attack range. Thanks to this, Jia Yan's crisis was relieved, leaving only a horrific claw wound on his flank. You bastard! This guy is stronger than me in every aspect, yet he still wants to run away. Jia Yan was a little frustrated with the other party's caution. Little did he know that Pai Lan was completely wary of everything about the Big Mosquito at the moment. Regarding the legendary sacred strongman, he felt that he could not be too cautious. After all, it was a legendary race. It would be the biggest joke if he was overturned by one blow, so he would rather play cautiously than be attacked by Jia Yan. Escape. Seeing that the other party was a little wary of his attack, Jia Yan immediately increased his body speed to the fastest speed and flew away in front of him at a speed that he could not understand. The chaos stones on the ground flew apart like an explosion, and Jia Yan found that his body had become much stronger. It can easily blast away the chaos stone blockage in front of it. But he knows that even in a normal space, his speed is not necessarily slower than the opponent's, let alone that if the opponent pursues directly along the passage he has broken, he must be faster. After Jia Yan broke through a large space, his eyes suddenly opened up, and a large empty space appeared in front of him. This is the passage that Jia Yan himself passed through before, and it can just accommodate Jia Yan's own body. Although some areas have collapsed, for him, he can open it again with just a little effort. Rush. Jia Yan's speed suddenly spread out, as if like the wind, he was jumping like crazy in this passage. Before his speed increased, it was almost unknown how much faster he was. The huge monster behind was roaring with rage. Pai Lan was so angry that he was temporarily blinded by his anger. He forgot that Jia Yan himself had dug a path to get down, and his body was as huge as Jia Yan's. Chasing in this passage, Jia Yan could not be faster. But it was impossible not to pursue him. The opponent's current strength was so much weaker than his own, but he vaguely judged that besides him, Jia Yan really didn't have many of his subordinates who could keep the opponent. The biggest reason is the defense of this existence. To Pai Lan, Jia Yan's defense was simply incomparable. Attack after attack could not penetrate the defense and directly break through Jia Yan's body. If it could cause him a little bit of damage, then the strong man on the ground would soldiers, now have the ability to stop the injured Jia Yan. It's useless to say anything now. Chase. Hurry to the cave dug by Jia Yan and stop him. If you see him, don't say anything, just kill him. Pai Lan followed Jia Yan and directly dug out the passage, or simply enlarged the passage forcefully, without slowing down. For the fight and chase between the two, please. If the strong men in front of them knew about it, they would definitely be stunned, because they could obtain the Chaos Stone in front of the Chaos Stone, but it would take seconds. And these two beings are not only powerful in resisting the Chaos Stone, but also have powerful penetration capabilities into the Chaos Stone at this moment, which is simply terrifying. The two beings were still fighting here. In order to prevent the opponent from pursuing too close, Jia Yan would collapse the surrounding Chaos Stone from time to time, causing the ground to constantly shake. What's going on? What's going on underground? The famous existence, whether it was soldiers or those strong men who came to collect Chaos Stone, were all surprised. They could clearly feel the vibration in the ground. At this moment, they were not aware of what was happening underground, but this did not prevent them from judging the current situation of the war. There's actually a war going on underground. We can't even get close to the Chaos Stone, but there are actually strong men fighting below. How powerful is this man, who can fight in the Chaos Stone? Could it be a strong man at the level of the top 10 strong men? Is it so powerful? Well, if one of the fighting parties is one of the 10 strongest men, then what about the other side? Who is it? Could it be that it's actually that Jia Yan? Impossible. I defeated him in the previous battle. It can't be him. He doesn't even have my strength. Can he fight with the top 10 powerful beings in the Chaos Stone? Impossible. A strong man was arguing on the ground in disbelief. They simply wouldn't believe that it was Jia Yan who was fighting below, but if it wasn't Jia Yan, who was fighting at this moment? They didn't have this answer, only some of the strong ones were dumbfounded.